Hello, hello. The oh, I've actually had this cold for like a week, which in the world that we're in, you can't just have a cold for a week. It's always like every day you can't even have a cold because people are just like it's COVID, right? It's like no, no. I just have a cold. Like these other viruses like still exist. But now it's just like COVID, you know. It's like if you it's the joke like if you're a different height like or you don't look like your father that much, like people are constantly going to be like, what's the height of the mailman? You know, it's like that same joke. um okay, let's start off. I want to first get to the I have to go over this like many times, okay, because um the forced birth movement in America is very much reliant on misinformation and imagining a world that does not exist. And so first, like I'm going to take it from because there is no for like argument for forced birth that is not religious. Like people come to me and they're like, "No, I'm not religious, but I'm still against abortion." And I'm like, "Really? Like prove it to me, like explain it to me," and they can't. They're lying to me. Or I'm like, they're like, "No, no, really, I'm not religious." I'm like, "Okay, like to prove to me you're not religious, say fuck God and then we can continue on with the conversation." And they never say fuck God. Like cuz they're just lying. So, from the start, I'd like to talk about like why the forced birthers like have their opinions. Cuz it's not like in the Bible, like these things are mentioned. Like there's like an abstract line that says like I knew you when you were like before you were born and stuff like this. You can take odd ways, but it's it's never really like there's a million things in the Bible, and there's things in the Bible that go the other way too. That you're not a person until you're born. So first off, like the forced birth community likes to show these pictures of very well developed fetuses. Um, and then they like to say, oh, it's a baby. And you're killing this baby. And they like to describe like very late term abortions as like the example of what abortion is. Now, first off, like literally, you can look this stat up on CDC. It's literally 99% of abortions happen before 20 weeks. 99. Meaning like that's the size at 20 weeks, right? I forget like what you're expecting. Like, you know, if you ever have a kid, you have to go to this like everybody goes to this site called what you're expecting, and they compare your fetus to a fruit, and it's like blueberry. So we're talking 99% happen before 20 weeks. And those that happen after 20 weeks are almost all health of the mother. So we're talking like in America, there's 600,000 abortions, probably more actually, because they don't actually go on the books because they're on a whole bunch of small clinics. And it's not like all of these clinics report their data very well. But nonetheless, roughly 600,000, between 600,000 and 800,000 abortions in America, which means 6 to 8,000 are late term. Like just this tiny fraction. And like by comparison, you know, 50,000 people kill themselves every year with guns. Like it commit suicide with guns. Like it's this tiny fraction. When people bring up like these ideas of like, you're ripping a baby apart and sucking out its brains and shit, like, no, like get that out of your mind. Like late term abortions are for health of the mother. It's 1%. Everything else is unrecognizable zygote mass, right? That's now. Then there's the question of is that a innocent human life? Now you're begging the question here, okay? When you're saying like, is it an innocent human life? You're assuming from the beginning that it's an innocent human life based on nothing. And one of the things to put this in perspective, conception, like when conception happens, only 25% of the time does that conceived egg, that fertilized egg, make it to term. Only 25% of the time. And if you have a kid, you know, when you have a kid, like when you and your partner get pregnant, they say, like, don't tell anybody, because like the probability of your miscarriage is really, really high. And in fact, most women don't even know about their miscarriage because it happens and then they bleed and they're just like, oh, that's my period. Well, that was actually like, a miscarriage. In fact, this happened between me and my wife. Like we were trying, and we really wanted to know, so we were like checking like birth control, not birth control, but pregnancy tests early. My wife was pregnant, and then she bled. And, it was disappointing. And like for the people you tell, like you're like, it's a little early, but, we might be pregnant. It's really embarrassing. Right. But like, so this idea that like this innocent human life, that's, 3/4 of the human population is just dying. And we're not mourning them. There aren't graveyards and memorials for this like massive, like 3/4 of the population that didn't make it from conception to birth. Now, let's go even further than this. Like this idea that life begins at conception is just also logically wrong. Because, like, what do you think is happening from a religious point of view? Like, do you think God is shooting in souls, like at this moment? Like, there's the egg and there's the sperm, and God goes, pew, soul. Okay. And let's even assume that, like, to an atheist, of course, this is like ridiculous, right? But like, let's assume that that's happening. Okay. God has shot a soul into a conceived egg. Okay. What happens with twins? Like, everyone says life begins at conception, or the religious do. When twins happen, what happens? Like, did a soul like cut in half? Did God shoot a different soul into that one? But then life doesn't begin at conception. Life began at a split. So like, none of it logically makes any sense. Like, you can't even from a religious point of view, have anything hold up. Because one, you should be sitting there being like, oh my God, 3/4 of the world's population is filled with, is gone. Like, heaven is filled with all of these zygotes. Like, is 3/4 of heaven like filled with fertilized eggs that didn't make it to term? Now you could say like, well, the religious would usually say after this, well, no, God is a master of time and space, right? He knows the future. So he wouldn't shoot souls into fertilized eggs that weren't going to make it to term. But the minute you make that leap, you're like, well, then why would he shoot them into like a fertilized egg that's going to be aborted? Like, it doesn't like, whether abortion happens naturally, which abortion happens naturally most of the time, 3/4 of the time, 75% of fertilized eggs don't make it. Okay. Why is human induced abortion like any different from natural abortion? So it's like, even from a religious point of view, it doesn't make any sense. Now, then there's the practicality. When you start believing things like life begins at conception, that means you're against the pill, you're against IUDs, because there's conception in all of those. And now you're talking about ending birth control, which is exactly what's fucking happening in America, right? They're already talking about Mississippi and Utah are already putting forward bills to ban the pill and IUDs. Like, this is already happening. So, like, even from a religious point of view, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the religious usually don't have to make any sense. They usually like I say, they bring up false facts, all the time, and they don't have much logic to it. But like, honestly ask yourself, what the hell is God doing? What is God doing with twins? Where is the soul? Like, what is God doing with all of those natural abortions? Like 75% of them. What is your logic on like God's plan and what he's doing with souls in these situations? You know, like now at the end, like people usually say like they don't care. All right. All of their friends and family usually believe something. And so they're going to believe it. Okay. But it's not something that makes sense at all. You know, and it's like, I don't want to be rude, but like you're talking about forced birth for women on something that doesn't make any sense. Like doesn't make any sense. And even if you get a bit like you're believing in Noah's Ark and shit too. Like how am I supposed to be like, oh, you believe in like that women should be forced birth and that like all animals fit on an ark? Like I can't even exist in this world and like understand like this logic. Now I'm sure this is all very normal in a religious community, but like, oh no, you know his ark. Yeah, totally. And you know, these are innocent babies. It's like nothing about it makes sense once you like focus on it and analyze it. And do focus on it and analyze. And I understand that like minds are not changed all at once. But like sit down and say like, what do twins mean in a world where life begins at conception? What do natural abortions mean in a world where life begins at conception? What does the pill and IUDs and conception mean in a world where life begins at conception? Like, what is it? Once you sit down and start analyzing those things, your brain will break, which is why people don't do it. But I challenge you to sit down and like be like, how do those things work? How does it work? So I just challenge you to do that. Sit down, really think it out. Because the only thing that the only answer you'll have is, well, it's all part of God's plan. But if it's not part of God's plan, then fucking God already knows. So why is he shooting souls into fertilized eggs that are going to be aborted? Like, none of it makes sense, even from a religious point of view. The forced birth movement is only a religious movement. And even from a religious point of view, it makes no sense. First episode of Westworld is boring. I haven't watched it yet. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see here. Oh, life begins at erection. Yeah, so not for much longer, man. Like, this is the thing, is like they're coming, like I said, they're coming after your sex too. They're coming after birth control. And it's, oh yeah, we really started losing the argument when we started letting the right wing define fetus out of life. It's absolutely not a life, it's a fetus. Absolutely. I think for years, Democrats tried this like mushy, abortion, it's a very difficult decision, but we got to make it safe and accessible. And they tried to take this middle ground. There's no fucking middle ground. It's not a fucking life. And women have the right to do with their body whatever the fuck they want. It's like, that's it. Like, you're totally right. We also stopped talking about abortion, and we don't have abortion in modern media. Like, when I think of like shows that have portrayed an abortion, hardly any. Like, how many characters have had an abortion? When we start thinking like, how many characters have had their parents killed when they were young and then they grew up to become a superhero? It's like, like how often does that happen? That you're orphaned and then you become a superhero. And then it's like, how often do women have abortions? All the fucking time. Like, the average woman in America has like 1.5 in her lifetime. Okay. I think in Europe, the average woman has 4. Like, it's really high. When you look at like numbers for like Greece, it's like 4.5. I think Russia, the average woman has 6 abortions in her lifetime. It's incredibly high. America, America's a little different because like we have morning after pill and RE46 and all these sorts of weird things that make people be like, did I have an abortion or not? But abortion is normal, and we somehow denormalized it. And some people will be like, well, abortion doesn't make good stories. Well, just fucking have it in, like, it can be a random fucking thing that happened. Like, we think of, like, when I think of abortion in media, I think Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which was fucking incredible. Like, what a fucking movie. I mean, what a fucking movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High is in retrospect. Like, oh my God. But also, like, they had an abortion in Veep, which was hilarious, because they treated it like an actual abortion, where the woman's like, oh my God, phew, dodged a bullet on that one. Because she's like, yeah, she was like considering, she's like, huh, should I have the kid or not? And then she talks to the guy and he's like, oh yeah, no, whatever you want, dude. If you want to do halvesies, I'll Venmo you the money. And then he like walks off and she's like, yep, abortion. You know, like, it was, but that's it. Like two things I can think of. Like, oh my God, we're MacGruber movie had an abortion, but they also portrayed it as this like horrible thing, right? Like, that was part of the joke that he like like pressured his girlfriend into having an abortion so that they could have a new life or something, and that it was like a reason to yeah. Abortion is legal in Russia. Yeah. Abortion is definitely legal in Russia. Abortion's legal in most places. Most people can have abortions pretty easily. America is now like a massive outlier. I mean, Mexico, massively Catholic country, legalized abortion like 2 years ago. And that was like the fact that like we are behind Mexico now. Like, I know, like, okay, Mexican Americans out there, like, that's, I know, like, but you could admit that like the Mexican government is fucking nuts and crazy and corrupt, and laws are all over the place and weird in Mexico. I'm not saying anything about, you know, Mexican people, but everybody accepts that the Mexican government is fucked up, and they got it right, and America has it fucking wrong. That's true. Sex Education had an abortion. Dirty Dancing had a back alley abortion. That's right. Yeah. It's we definitely need more of this shit. Very important question. Peach or cherry? Is this for like Pac-Man consumption? I'm not up on like whatever eggplant is. Is this like butt or testicles? I'm not sure what this is all about. Oh, hold on a second. We got the Carmine. Hello.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was eating when you hit me up. Really, you really think you're gonna go like crazy on someone today? Really?
So I messaged Carmine and I was like, he's like, yeah, when do you want me to call in? Because he likes to call in like a little later. And I'm like, no, I'll call it earlier because I'm probably just gonna lose my temper and be a fucking horrible person. And I need you to calm me down.
Did you answer Iron BS's question, by the way?
Iron.
He's right there.
I don't know what that means.
So, okay. So I had this argument with someone. I don't know if peach means vagina or ass, because to me, it
looks like a butt, right? It looks like a butt or testicles, yeah.
I'm sure the cherries are titties, but for me, peach was always vagina, not ass. Okay. But like, no, it's ass. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I could see like. So I could see in a world where a bunch of people have grown up on porn, and they're now more used to seeing like shaved vagina than vagina with hair, that they're going to be like, that's a vagina. And you're like, well, most of the time, no. Okay. Like, but
I think I know this guy. He's a very cool dude. I think he's asking you ass or boobs. Are you gonna ask me? Or are you a guy?
No, I've never really been a boob guy. I've never been an ass guy either.
You're not a boob guy or an ass guy? What
No,
the hell?
not
What's
kind of
happening here?
neither an ass or a boob guy.
Whoa!
I like, small, like firm, like, properly, proportioned. I don't need big, but this is getting into things like you're gonna start like accusing me of fat shaming and shit. So like
me, me, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I'm Brazilian. Man. You know my answer on this.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Carmine.
Oh boy, here we go.
In this new world where, for the past fucking 10 years of YouTube history, okay. The anti-feminist, anti-SJW like movement online, and especially with regarding to like the geek fantasy sci-fi community, about like hating on every reference to feminism or whatever. Do you think that goes away? Like now, before people could roll their eyes and be like, well, women and men, like, do women really have it, worse than men? Now it's so fucking clear. Yeah, of course fucking women have it worse than men. Do you think that all goes away, or do you think the hacks are still going to be like pushing that shit?
No, that will never go away. What are you, crazy? That will never, ever since women got the ability, like what, 50, 60, 70 years ago to like not be stuck at home and go out and, work and earn money for themselves and have the ability to choose who they want to marry. Like, guys have been bitching about that since since it started happening. And, yeah, I'm sorry if that's annoying. Drinking out of my cup. No, we're always gonna get like incels bitching about women, and you're gonna have these YouTubers, these grifters who appeal to that audience. It's gonna be a thing forever. Like
this guy here. Women do not have it worse than men. What are you fucking talking about? They just had fucking their reproductive rights taken away. Like, what do you like? Would you like to be born a woman? Like, would you like to have that option? Like, it's like, oh man, like, ugh. You see how angry I get at this shit? Like, how can they fucking like how can people even exist like this? How can it even exist?
We don't know that. To be fair to this guy, we don't really know his position. Like, I don't know how old he is. I don't know where he comes from.
Well, that's the thing is, if you're like 12 and you've never like the minute you start having even a sexual relationship and you see how much stress and work, like birth control is for women, like it's really just, it's amazing. It's really frustrating, but let's see here. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. People are like, no, abortion was decriminalized in Mexico in September 2021. I don't know. The Mexican Supreme Court, unanimously declared this. So I don't know what people are fucking talking about. I was right on the Mexico thing. So I don't know. It's just I don't get it. Like, so I was thinking about this sorts of things. Like, you think that the grifters are going to keep grifting?
I honestly don't believe that a lot of the people who spew this crap believe it, because like Trump, Trump doesn't. Trump's probably had like 42 abortions this week for women he's fucking around with. He doesn't believe it, but of course he's gonna grift so he can get the support. These guys don't believe this. It's that peddle this whole bullshit. They like Crowder believe. I believe Shapiro believes it because of course he does. But people like Crowder, who's probably had a couple abortions that he's paid for, like, he doesn't believe it, but you gotta grift to that audience. And no, to the person who said this, grift does not equal people I disagree with. Grift, like, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again.
Grift is when you know, like, something works for pulling in money.
Yes, exactly.
So like say you're just a random woman hater, okay? If you're a random woman hater, do you need to have an anti-feminist joke in every single goddamn video and thumbnail that you have? Like, even a random woman hater would move on to other things and like talk about other things. But when you look at like, and I'm going to bring up Critical Drinker, like every single video he has like some sort of like anti-feminist like joke in there. Every single one. And you're like, dude, like he could easily, he's got a big audience. He could easily like just ignore it and go on and find some other thing to talk about, but he doesn't. He puts it in every single time. Like it's the same joke too. It's the same fucking joke. You know, he does this like because of message and then like shows like, you know, it's like, he's fucking Steve Urkel, you know? Did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Except there were only 215 episodes of Family Matters. Like these fucking people go thousands of videos with the same fucking, did I do that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Every fucking video. Yeah.
I say this to everybody I encounter, and you know, I'm sure people in here who are in my Discord can back me up on this. I always tell everybody I always talk to, try YouTube. You never know. I know how much I make on YouTube. I have an idea of how much Preston makes. We discussed it. I know how much Trey makes. I know how much, you know, a couple of my other YouTuber buddies make. If we told you guys, if we showed you guys how much we made, there'd be riots in the streets. It's ridiculous how much money we fucking make off this crap. Now, all you have to do is multiply. All you have to do is the math on how much these grifters make. Yeah, I would grift too. Fuck it. I want a Tesla. I want an island. Fuck it. Fuck it. I want to pay off all my debt. Let's go. There it is.
But the thing is like once you get to a point where you have, I mean, that's the thing is like more money, you just get more money. I mean, like when I look at those figures, like, you know, Critical Drinker has 10 times my viewers and 10 times, you know, my audience. So he must be earning 10 times my money. So I know exactly how much he's earning. Isn't it enough? Like that's a lot of fucking money. 10 times.
It's never enough. It's never enough because they always gamble it away on Pokemon cards. You should know this. You should know this. It's never enough. You should know this.
Is abortion legal in Taipei? Yes, abortion is legal in Taiwan. Taiwan has very progressive laws, even when it comes. Well, Asia, Asia in general has very progressive reproductive rights laws for women, but Taiwan has very progressive laws on other stuff. It's the only country in Asia that allows same-sex marriage. Abortion is legal. They're mostly clustered at universities and such, the clinics. And there's a lot of universities in Taiwan. When I lived in China, it was super easy to, like, the pill was over the counter in China, and abortion clinics are just, you know, wherever. Go to a regular doctor. There you go. It's done. I'd like to talk about this. Is it the same joke or the same point? Yet another example. I think you're giving the other side credit for principle error. I'm not giving it. So here's the thing: is like when Disney does a money grab, like awkward line to try to like appeal to an audience. Okay, that's clumsy. You know, like we all know how stupid and clumsy that Endgame moment is when all of the female superheroes get together and like, you know, try to, you know, we got this, you know, we all know that's clumsy and stupid. Okay. Now it's how the insult is framed and what one focuses on. So when you focus back on that, like, oh, you're just trying to push feminism. Well, no, Disney isn't doing that at all. Disney is trying to fucking make money. So there's that. And then that the actual criticism back is poorly framed and can be misinterpreted very easily. So when you sit there and go, oh, they want to push feminism. Well, first of all, there'd be nothing wrong with them trying to push feminism. Okay. They should try to push feminism. What they're pushing is just clumsy, like trying to sell toys, movies, like one-liners that are crammed in. Okay. They should be trying to push feminism. They're not. Okay. They're not trying to push They're not trying to push feminism. They're pushing this faux sell shit crap. So there's that aspect, that the criticism and joke is not well framed and it can be misinterpreted. Do you think a 13-year-old boy, which is probably a lot of their audience, understands? Or are they sitting there going, feminism bad? The other thing is what you focus on, there's explicit criticism and there's implicit criticism. Okay, I can explicitly criticize something and say this is bad. But then there's implicit when you focus on one thing over and over again. Like imagine if my YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel where I'm just criticizing celebrities, okay? And you go, okay, that's a fine YouTube channel. Celebrities have a lot of things to criticize. But now imagine a YouTube channel where every week it's a black celebrity. I criticize O.J. Simpson one week, and then it's R. Kelly the next week, and then it's Bill Cosby the next week, and then it's Michael Jackson the next week, and then it's Will Smith the next week. Okay, and every week it's a black celebrity. Now, everything I'm saying is true. All the points I'm making are true. R. Kelly, likes to be pissed on by 12-year-old girls. Bill Cosby is a rapist. Michael Jackson is a pedophile. O.J. Simpson murdered somebody. Like every single thing. Michael Vick had dog fights. Every single thing is true. But I'm only focusing on the negative aspects of black celebrities, and I'm not focusing on the negative aspects of white celebrities, and I'm not focusing on the good aspects of other black celebrities. Like you can see that like in that pattern of criticism, I'm implicitly saying that black people are bad if I did that. So even if you speak truth all of the time, which many people do, this is my problem with like Chris Reagan. He's changed quite a bit actually, but like early Chris Reagan, it's not that like you watch a video and you'd be like, oh, he's not saying something I don't agree with, but it was only bashing one group. And so over time, the message is implicitly that this group is bad. And so that's the problem I have with like Critical Drinker and his clones, is that he is just focused, like it's this implicit bashing of feminism, poorly handled and poorly worded over and over and over. It's literally every single video has that anti-feminist joke in it. And so it's just, it's pretty, yeah. So I'm not praising fucking Disney. Disney isn't pushing feminism, okay? Where's the character that had an abortion? And when you say like, abortion is the primary number one cause, number one part of feminism. When people talk about feminism, it equates to reproductive rights. That's the most important thing that they're fighting for. It is the primary thing of feminism. So when people say like, oh, I don't like girl power, I don't like feminism, like that's the horrible like switch that's happened. You're like, oh, Rey from the Star Wars prequels is lame. I don't like feminism. And then they say, I don't like feminism. Feminism's primary function is the fight for reproductive rights for women. That's the number one thing. Number one. So it's like, when you say like, oh, is it this like bad connection? It's horrible. Like every time they go, feminism, they're implicitly going, forced birth. Do you have any thoughts on the Supreme Court decision focusing on right to life and not privacy? First of all, how can you have right to life like without privacy? Like it's so like, do you trust them at all? Like first of all, Clarence Thomas specifically said that the right to privacy needed to be attacked too. Okay, he specifically said that he was coming after Griswold. So when you see like, and then even if you say like, if you want to be like, no, maybe we should trust these people. They all sat in front of Congress a few years ago and said, no, Roe versus Wade is the law of the land. And then they fucking lied to us. Oh, Republicans fucking lying to us. Who would have fucking thought? Like, who would ever trust that they're not coming after the other rights to privacy? Like, they're specifically going after them right now. Conception laws and with regards to the contraception are already being attacked already in Utah and Mississippi and places. Like, it's already happening. So they're already going after your right to privacy for contraceptive, and then Clarence Thomas specifically said he was going after, that he wants to go after marriage, same-sex marriage. Weirdly, he didn't mention interracial marriage, but that's also resting on right to privacy. Right to privacy gives us, well, right to privacy gave us abortion. It gave us contraceptives. It gave us marriage rights. Without it, I mean, that's the thing is like now this decision destroys stare decisis. It destroys precedent. It destroys the right to privacy. You should not feel secure on anything. Like anything. Like if one election cycle can cause all of your rights to go away. Like that's it. Like 2016, like Trump gets elected and that's it. Like we're here. Like forced births. Like anything could fucking happen. Anything. Like what is fucking safe now? What is safe? What rights are safe in America? None. We have no fucking rights in America. We're done. America's fucking done. All right? The zealots have fucking ruined America like they ruin everything else. Fucking American Taliban is here. I'm a Native woman in Canada and got married in 2008. I have to double check to make sure I would lose my Native rights, women's rights to bear, iffy at best. This is an interesting issue, actually. With regards to Samantha Bee has a very interesting video today about an idea that came that I don't know if it'll get much traction, but it's a fucking genius idea. But there are plenty of lands that are federal in America, which means any national park, any VA hospital, any American Indian reservation could potentially be a place where you could get an abortion if one wanted it. And keep in mind that like abortion now has gotten to the point where all you need is an RU46 abortion pill. So like you could in the bit that Samantha Bee did, she goes to Yellowstone and sets up a lemonade stand with the only abortion doctor, by the way, in the state of Wyoming. And she's like, okay, like what else do you need? And she's like, this is pretty much it. Like I can do my job from here. Like this is a really good idea. And then she also had a lawyer there and they're like, well, what else? What are the dangers? And she's like, well, there's obviously like the state could pass a law criminalizing and focusing on her, which is probably what's going to happen if we were to do this. But, her safety is an issue. But, and obviously like, these violent militaristic people, but you could easily have like havens in parks, havens at VA hospitals, havens at American Indian reservations, havens at military bases. If they wanted, it's like, I don't know if I trust the Democrats, keep in mind, I'll always vote for Democrats, always, but they might want to be like, if we do this before elections, like, we lose our one chance of staying in power, maybe after. But it's some interesting things to think about. There are some outside the box thinking that we can do, but of course, like, the illegal trafficking of the abortion pill is going to happen all over the place. So, yeah. Do you think there are any effective ways to get well-meaning forced birth voters to reconsider their views and misconceptions? Yeah, I mean, I think people can shift. But it's like how much people are willing to shift, I think if somebody's young, their minds can change But I mean, you watch these Jordan Peterson things where he like shows irrefutable facts to Trump voters who are at rallies, and they just like their brain can't process it, and they're just like, well, that's a doctored video. Like he went to a Trump rally where he said, well, the election wasn't stolen. Like the Trump's attorney general like said it wasn't stolen, and he shows the video, and they're just like, well, he was bought off. Okay, do you believe Ivanka Trump? They're like, oh yeah, I know Ivanka's a good woman. And they show the video of Ivanka saying that the election wasn't stolen, and their minds are just like, that's a doctored clip. I don't believe. No. Like people are. It's tough for people to change when they're older. I think the only thing is to just get to young people and give them all of the information, because they're going to get lied to. You got to push the real facts out there. That 99% of abortions happened before 20 weeks, and the 1% that happened always like after were for health of the mother. The fact that like, I mean, honestly, like, Carmine, you there?
Yes, sorry about that. I'm here.
How old were you when you learned about what an ectopic pregnancy was?
I'm 30 now, so I learned about it today, right now, just now.
Yeah, no, and thank you for your honesty on that. Like,
what the hell even is that? I don't even know.
Okay, there you go. So an ectopic pregnancy is when there's fertilization of an egg inside a fallopian tube. And it leads to pretty much death of the mother. And so it requires an abortion to save the mother's life, the woman's life, the mother's life. So that's super common. It requires an abortion. You can't get one of those in Kentucky right now. Like, that's it, I think the number
Angela, I'm very serious. Like, why would I know this?
Well, that's the thing. Like, we should, right? Like, isn't that really important information to know? That like it's very common for women to have ectopic pregnancies and the need for an abortion. Like, like, I mean, it's true that like, okay, not familiar with the Glidus is like, come on, it's not the familiar terminology. Go easy. No, I'm not picking on Carmine. I don't think at 30 I knew
it wasn't you. It wasn't you. It was someone else who bitching at me about it. So I don't know.
Like, I don't know if I mean, I think I perhaps like knew of the concept, but like I didn't realize how common it was. And these sorts of things. Like, we have such bad sex education. Or when I tell people that like, in Greece, or an average woman has 4 abortions in her lifetime, or in Russia, everybody is like, what? I'm like, in America, the average woman has at least 1. Like, people are like, what? And they just don't believe it. Like, it's just there's just a lack of knowledge out there too. Like, I think a lot of people really think abortion is like some doctor going in there and like just hacking up a full-grown baby, like it's some horror movie, because that's all they've been told. Yeah, that's the thing, is most women don't know it's ectopic until very, very late. It's this is the funny thing. Sex ed is porn for a lot of folks, and this is the sad thing, is when I hear rap songs that are like, yeah, we're gonna drink like gangsters and fuck like porn stars. I'm like, why would you ever want to fuck like a porn star? Like, anyone that's had sex, like, why would you want to fuck like a porn star? Like, in those positions. Like, what? Like, what? What? But there must be an entire generation of kids that have like watched porn and thinks that that's like how sex works, Oh man. It's I think I know Oklahoma, it's only mother at stake. I don't think it's health at stake in Kentucky. Certainly not incest or rape. I know that incest or rape is not included. Keep in mind that a lot of these trigger laws, were on the books from 50 years ago. These are old laws. But I had read that Kentucky didn't have it for anything, and Oklahoma only had it for mother's life, but not for rape and incest. But that's the other thing. Yeah, all these, you get raped, you got to have that kid. Like, hold on, baby. Let me angle for the camera. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah. 90% of abortions happen within the first 6 weeks, 99 within the first 15. I'm surprised that someone's able to get in there at 6 weeks. That's like, I mean, I guess maybe they immediately get the morning after pill, or not the morning after pill, the abortion pill. Slightly different pills. I do wonder about like universities. Like if I were a 17-year-old girl choosing a university to go to, would I want to go to university in Texas? That's something people think about. I do also wonder about like business boycotts. Like, could we have a system where we just stop doing business with states that don't have these laws? Like, it's just I'm envisioning in a few years, when personhood begins making it to Supreme Court, they ban abortion everywhere in the U.S. Is that likely? Yes, of course it is. Of course it's likely. I mean, the Republicans are already talking about it. They're talking about it either legislatively or bringing it to the Supreme Court. Like, yes, absolutely, this is happening. Kevin McCarthy has already talked about national abortion ban. When the Republicans like take office. Like, this is totally happening. And they were talking about the repeal of same-sex marriage. All this is happening. Half the states are going to lose contraceptives. I mean, unless,
Unpopular opinion here. I hope they go after contraceptive, because that's when they lose everything.
I mean, you'd think they would have lost it now. Like, you'd think that, like, in this world where it's like, oh, really? Like, rape and incest. Like, a dad can rape a 12-year-old girl, and she's going to be forced birth. Oh yeah, that's fucking half the states. Like, I don't know if it's half the states. I think it's 11 states that have like no rape or incest exception. Yeah. Weirdly, Kansas has this is the weird about America. Kansas, abortion access. Missouri, no. Like,
immediately no. The same day, no.
I know, right? I mean, they have St. Louis. You've got nothing. Like,
it's funny. This all could have been avoided had liberals just shut the fuck up and voted for the email lady. That's all they had to do.
Of course.
Shut the
fuck
up. Vote for the email lady.
But this is why I get into this like idea of like, the inherent sexism that's in people, like Hillary was great. Hillary was fucking great. But it's like, oh, she is shrill and she is ambitious and like these abstract things that make no sense. Like, she's a politician. Of course she's fucking ambitious. What are you talking? She's an opportunist. Like, what? She's a fucking politician. Like, Trump is not an opportunist. Like, it's yeah. And this is the weird thing about a medieval fantasy series being more progressive than modern US. I mean, George definitely makes Westeros a contradiction. So you've got characters like Asha and Cersei and stuff who regularly use moon tea. Um, Asha being the more interesting one because she's unmarried. But then there's the question of like Marjorie and Cersei and her walk of shame and what things boil down to. And it's amazing how many readers miss that like Cersei's walk of shame is not over murder or any of the bad things that she actually did. Her walk of shame is over extramarital sex, which is ridiculous because Robert was having extramarital sex constantly, right? So like Cersei has to do this walk of shame for bullshit, while all of the bad things that she actually did, she's not going to be punished for. And then Marjorie is going to be probably killed because one of her cousins was having extramarital sex and requested moon tea, and Marjorie takes the blame for it.
What? Kill them immediately. How dare they?
Exactly, right? And so, I mean, and America as itself is a big contradiction. But it's weird. It's so when you have conversations with the forced birthers, a very common line that you eventually get out of them is I don't want abortion to be used as a form of birth control. Which is an odd kind of thing. You know, like when you actually like break down the situation where, because a lot of Americans are like, okay, rape and incest, I can understand needing an abortion, but not for like regular shit. And you're like, oh, really? So like, you know, if the woman's a slut, she's not allowed to. Like, that's essentially what they're saying, right? Like, it's all about female behavior. Like, because if you truly 100% believed it was a life, then yeah, rape and incest, like, I guess wouldn't matter because you 100% believe it's a life. But if you're one of the mushy people, and most people are kind of mushy, the position isn't really logical, right? Like, oh, if the woman's a slut and she's lazy, you know, oh no, she's not allowed, you know. I'm gonna give this guy one more shot, but he's really convenience. Convenience. It's a weird way to put it. It's a weird way to put it, dude. Okay. Weird way to put it. Like, you know. So he's talking about, yeah, when they break things down, it's something like abortions, it's like 3% health of the mother, 3% rape, and 1% incest or something for reasons. And so then they go, okay, well, then another 91%, or in this case, he's pulling out some sort of 92.8 shit, that the other ones are not justified. Not justified, you know? Like, okay, like, it's your fucking body. Okay, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. Let's say you don't have the financial means to raise a kid. Let's say you just, you know, you don't want to put in the massive amount of like damage it's going to do to your physical body. Let's say, you know, you just can't, like, you don't have a relationship with the person and like it's just not going to work out. You don't want to raise the person as a single parent. Let's say you have enough kids, which is a huge one. I think it's like 25% of abortions are by women who say they just have enough kids already. Like, it's, you know, we get this idea that it's like girls in college and stuff, but like, it's convenience. These are people's lives, like people's really tough lives, like that you're just like, no, you know what? Forced birth for you. Amy Coney Barrett had this whole thing like, oh, well, it's not so bad because they can give it up for adoption. It's like, imagine if we lived in a world where we could force citizens to run marathons. You know? Like, yeah, just go run a marathon. Like, do all the fucking training and run that fucking marathon. Like, you know, having trained for a marathon and run several and seen my wife go through a couple pregnancies, like, I can say that her experience is probably harder than my marathon training. But like, if you want to say like, nah, you know what, fucking go run a marathon. And if you don't, oh, that's for your convenience. Your fucking convenience. My fucking God, you hate women so much. Oh my God. Oh, all right. Let's. um, the Tansy Sweet Robin didn't work. Sweet Robin, LOL. Well, it was for the previous one, but that was the whole. I mean, the whole issue with Lysa. I think we talked about this last time. Is that Lysa was about um what that was about, like taking away her reproductive autonomy, her agency with regards to that, and Littlefinger's was also being taken away because Littlefinger was raped. Um, and so it's just a weird situation to force somebody into a situation where they have kids. Um, it's just really fucked up, like the forced birth movement. Oh my gosh, yeah. There's also this myth that like there's all these like googly cute like babies and getting ready for adoptions, and everybody's like, oh, the wait list for adoptions is super long. And like, oh my God, no, it's not. Like, people forget that like there's crack babies and PCP babies and like all of these other things that exist out there that that people aren't fucking adopting. Um, Kids with birth defects, Downs, like all these things exist. Everybody's just like, no, let's just like let's pop them all out. I'm sure they'll be adopted. They're not going to fucking be adopted. Okay, you know. If abortions are allowed, then the white race will fucking die. Somehow, something, I don't know, pretending to be nut job hard. The Jesus Christ, did people see the video of the woman
Thanking Trump?
Yeah, they accidentally say that Trump was a defender of white life.
There it is. Yeah, the blonde woman. Yeah.
It wasn't so much the fact that like she made a flub. Okay, it was an embarrassing flub. And maybe part of her subconscious, maybe it was a Freudian slip. But the fact that the audience cheered anyway, like,
I feel like the audience at a Trump rally cheers no matter what he says, to be fair.
yeah, but it's just so weird and creepy. If a woman is against abortion, does she hate her sex? I think that she's probably. I mean, realistically, like if we're talking about like in action, she does. Like, do I think she has hatred in her heart and is burning in that sense? I think most of us are raised to believe what people around us believe, and so it's you just kind of have most of your beliefs by osmosis. We're not that independent and rational. Like what music you like is mostly what your friends liked when you were young and things like that. And then music of a culturally different group is grinding. That's why your parents hated that hip hop and why like I hate country music. Like there's just something like, oh, built in. And so, we have to say that like most of these people that are against abortion were raised in environments against abortion and just didn't know better. They were fed the Kool-Aid, like, early on. And this was just the normal default opinion to take on. But once you kind of examine it, which they never will, but do I really think there's like hatred in their heart? I don't know.
There is one thing I actually want to bring up. This is something I've noticed as I've gotten older. So I dated this one Norwegian girl couple
Yeah.
years ago, and her aunt lives in New York City. Her aunt went to NYU and was valedictorian
Hmm.
in her class like decades ago. And now the aunt believes the moon is flat and all manner of like ridiculous bullshit because she started dating this one guy who, got her into the Trump train. She was an incredibly
Wow.
intelligent person, still is on some
Yeah.
level, but always wants to argue that vaccines are microchips and, the moon is flat or,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff like that. And I think a lot of it is like men really are on some level poison to women
Hmm.
on some level. Maybe it's love, but I noticed it with women more than like men. I've noticed it with like women being indoctrinated by dumbass ideas from men than the other way around.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I can't say I can't like in general because women are treated poorly in society. I think there's a deep insecurity, um, and trauma in women. I mean, I would say the same of minorities that are persecuted in a country. Any persecuted group gets a level of insecurity, and that can cause it to manifest weirdly in certain people. Like I think Clarence Thomas is an example of like the trauma of being black, like in America, being manifested in a really fucking weird way and turning him into who he was. The same with Amy Coney Barrett. Like there's something odd. Like if you traumatize 100 people in a certain fashion, they're not all going to act and respond the same way to that trauma. Some people are gonna react weirdly. Um, and so yeah, I do think that like people will sometimes follow their mate's decision and things like that, and become self-loathing and weird shit. The human brain is weird. But let's see here. Real quick, sorry I wasn't getting these. I'm just trying to stay on topic a little bit. But yeah, I've read Lord of the Rings, and we're probably gonna talk about when Rings of Power comes out. Like Carmine and I are gonna watch it and talk about it. We like the two of us know a fair bit about Lord of the Rings, like more than the average person. Like not Man of the West level, like. So in our clique of YouTubers, like Man of the West is our Lord of the Rings kind of expert guy.
I go
Like
to him every time I have a question.
yeah,
Every single time I hit him up privately on Facebook, I'm
but
like, bro, what the fuck is this?
it's not like Carmine and our slouches. Like we know like the Silmarillion. Like we've read these
First
books.
off, speak for yourself. Silmarillion, I can't make heads or tails of that shit. All those names and family lineages, fuck, bro. Fuck
Yeah,
that.
we know. Well, I mean, I know basics, but whatevs. We're gonna watch Rings of Power, but
Like I know
and talk.
Morgoth and
Yeah,
Osgiliath and all
you
these
know that there
crazy
were
ass names.
there were the gems and the trees and all that shit.
The lamps and yeah, I know that, but fuck, yo, that's Jesus Christ.
Talk about Asha Greyjoy. Asha Greyjoy. Um, let's keep this on abortion for a second. So, Asha Greyjoy, has specifically been put in a situation. I don't know if like George is actually going to pursue it, or if he is, how he gardens. He just like throws shit out there. But like, she fucked Carl the maid right before she was captured by Stannis. And, she specifically thinks like after he comes inside her, like, I better take some moon tea. And she never does. Right. So and then she's captured and completely under control, the control of Stannis, which, thematically we're talking about like her being like captured by the patriarchy and all this, because this is exactly what like Stannis is like portrayed as in this context. That a religious patriarchy, keep in mind, like, that she is a liberated woman at the like under control of like religious, like patriarchal men. So there is the question of, is Asha pregnant? And why, she hasn't meant there isn't like any scene where she like has morning sickness or anything, because it's now been what 2 months since her sex with Carl the maid, so she could be having morning sickness and stuff, but like she doesn't have the opportunity to say get moon tea or have an abortion or something like that. And I do wonder like what plot or what ideas George had about like saying about like Asha's autonomy with regards to her reproductive rights, and like when she, if she is like has to keep going on as a prisoner pregnant, she's going to be forced birth. She's going to have to be forced birth unless she somehow liberates herself. Like what she's going to do. It's an interesting plot that, and I have no idea. I've heard no one really talk about it. Like what Asha would do and will do if she's pregnant. Like, and what Stannis or anyone else who's in control of her would do and how they would treat her and things like that. So we'll see. But I think it's a very interesting aspect that George has thrown in there. I don't know. Carmine, do you think he's just gonna forget it? Like just forget that Asha like could be pregnant? I mean, if winds ever come back.
Doesn't he have people that remind him this stuff, or doesn't he write notes down?
He does. I'm sure. Like, I don't mean like forget it in that he'll be absent-minded, but like forget it in the sense that he'll just won't pursue it. Like he should absolutely, like, this is a pretty big plot point that like he spent a lot of time seeding. It's just whether or not he actually chooses to do anything with it or can come up with any ideas on an interesting plot. Let's get the actual line here.
It depends on how pressed for time he is to get to his next project that's not Ice and Fire.
Let's see here. The room was cold. Asha rose from Galbert Glover's bed and took off her torn clothes. The jerkin would need fresh laces, but her tunic was ruined. I never liked it anyway. She tossed it in the flames. The rest she left in a puddle by the bed. Good old Carl the maid puddle. Her breasts were sore and Carl's seed was trickling down her thigh. She would need to brew some moon tea or risk bringing another Kraken into the world. What does it matter? My father's dead, my mother's dying, my brother's been flayed, and there's naught that I can do about any of it. And I'm married, wedded and bedded, though not by the same man. And then, never brought up again. But there's these few things, like some of them never, like, I kind of think that, so John, specifically like ejaculates inside Ygritte, and then Ygritte is killed. And no thought is ever put into the fact that like Ygritte was probably pregnant after like weeks of having sex with John on the road, and that she dies. Like he never thinks about it. Like, oh, she was pregnant too. Like that. So like that there's an aspect of George just like putting in this like gardening something that he thought might be relevant that just was never relevant, but it does seem like with Asha it would come back somehow. It'll be I mean certainly on the fan fiction it will. Lord of the Rings covers this. The Elven rings were used to do good, but ultimately they had to be destroyed because they were built on Sauron's power. Such is the power of judicial review by the 9 Riders in Black. Basically, all that, with regards to the Supreme Court, all that shit that we learned in school is fucking wrong. Like, our 3 branches of government and, like, the genius of it, no. Fucking stupid. Fucking stupid. Stupid to ever have a lifetime appointment for a government position. What a fucking horrible idea. that Supreme Court justices are on the court for life, and that there will be only 9 of them. I mean, that's not written anywhere. I mean, if anything, we should have like 100 Supreme Court justices so that like extreme things don't happen either way. But how do you look at all super chats, or are you just looking at the eCam feed? I just look at the eCam feed. I'll keep in mind that like I've been trying to stay on subject here, but I can go when I go back for super chats. I just kind of like I go back. So it's like this is an old one. None of it would have happened without the left having quit pushing. They were never satisfied until it was basically murder after birth. Virginia governor. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty backwards, isn't it? Right? Because it was the other way. It was always the chipping of the away of rights. The 100 more years of Braun making bad jokes. I mean, I guess if there's a Jon Snow show, we'll get that.
100 seasons.
100 seasons. Do these pro-lifers think that host or Tully should get the death penalty for Tansy? I imagine so. I imagine what they think. They're. I mean, right now they're kind of militarized to the point where they want a battle for the sake of a battle. I mean, it's amazing how like you can get right wingers to all of a sudden care about an issue they shouldn't care about, like critical race theory or something, and get them like militarized, you know? Like had Trump said like masks are cool, like they wouldn't have cared about masks, and then they were fucking violent about masks, about not wearing masks just because. Thoughts on Roos's fate. I talked about this before. I think he's probably, I mean, there's some seeds that he's actually going to be killed by Ramsey. Quite a few seeds. I mean, we have the show, but there's also just a dispute between them. And that, you know, it's rather important on which people were sent out to fight Stannis. The fact that it was Freys that were sent out is a huge deal, because the Freys are the only ones that are specifically loyal to Roose. Like if anybody in Winterfell would be loyal to Roose, it's the Freys, through Fat Walda. Everybody else, you're not sure about their loyalties, you know, which is why the Freys and the Manderleys were sent out, like two people that, you know, the Manderleys being loose cannons and the Freys seeming to be new loose cannons, but that plays into Ramsay's hand. Now, if Roose dies, all like the number one force is the Bolton forces, and he takes it on. So, I mean, it sounds like Ramsay is probably going to kill Roose and take control of things, like in the book. But no, I don't think. Yeah, I think Roose is dead. So, but what do you do with the transition from lightsabers as deadly weapons to non-lethal deterrence? Can get stabbed, cut in half. They're just not as dangerous. I mean, I think lightsabers, they're just one of those things that are cool because they're like swords, but at the same time, like a lot of times you don't want a character to be dead after a battle. And so they do a lot of this cauterization of wounds and people surviving after that they wouldn't even with swords, you know, like, so, I mean, I definitely think that the extra scene of, what was her name? Reywa? What was the Dark Jedi's name in Obi-Wan?
Reva.
You know, I thought that was really ridiculous, and we didn't need that extra scene, which this, you know, as I say, like the weird hyper conservative end to Obi-Wan Kenobi, there where everybody's like, oh, Disney is so liberal, and you're like, oh
Yo, you
really?
got torn apart. I don't know if you did. You read the comments on my comment section on that one?
Yeah, no, what happened?
You got torn apart about that, and I love you. You know, I love you.
Hmm.
I gotta side with some of these guys because some of these people made very good points as to why it's not that conservative for Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru to have guns in their hut because just like a generation ago,
Hmm.
this man's stepmom was taken away by Tusken Raiders. So
Sure, I mean logically speaking, but let's talk about it in a different way. Okay, the the number one like big American gun fantasy, right, is this idea of like Joe Redneck is sitting at home with his loving wife and his kids, and then the black people try to break into his house, but he kills those gangsters, and then his wife is like, "Oh, honey," and his dad and his kids are like, "I love you, Dad," and he's like, like that is like the American fantasy, right? To like protect your family from a house invader,
I think that's
specifically
every
a black house invader.
okay, maybe not the black part, but I think that's every man's fantasy where he becomes a hero,
Mm, the good
fighting
guy
a
with a
bad
gun,
guy.
right? The good guy with a gun,
I mean,
defending his family. Oh, honey, I love you, Dad. Like the fucking plot of Taken, right?
in
Like
my
Taken, the most
fantasies,
fucking conservative. When people are like Hollywood's so liberal, I was like, there was a fucking series called Taken. Have you fucking seen that shit? That is
with
the most
Qui-Gon
like
Jinn.
conservative fucking right wing crap I've ever seen. Um,
I don't know about the gun part. In my fantasies, I kung fu everybody, but okay.
but it's just the fact that like I could like it's all I thought about. I was like, oh my god, it's a home invasion of a black perp, and like the family running for some guns to protect their kid, right? Isn't like that's the far right like dream, like, oh, that's why I need my gun to stop them black people from invading, protecting my stuff, you know? Like like everybody's trying to break into their trailer for their fucking moonshine, you know? It's just not, you know. So yeah, you could be like, oh, it's quite logical. Yeah, it's quite logical in the world that they live in. But then when you say like, oh, is it actually like a homestead situation where they're trying to protect against Tusken Raiders whose land they've taken, and now you've made Baru and Owen into homesteaders who are stealing land from American Indians? Like, it's so fucking weird. Like all the politics around it. Like, and that it's somehow like the heroes should be homesteaders. Oh, it's fucking weird, man. Looking really conservative shit. So anyway, the good guy with the gun stuff, I just can't like it's so in Hollywood. Like it's just George needs to garden his brain before it rots. um you don't need a right to privacy. You need a law saying that abortion is not illegal, like any decent country. It's true. Um, the problem, you know, this all gets back to the screwed up nature of our Senate and the filibuster and things like that. That you need such a majority, you need a super majority to pass anything that it's just impossible. Like we can't pass laws in America now. So the system itself, like, is heavily weighted towards rural America and you know, and so the Supreme Court, like, even though you know, in its weird way, like protected like for a moment, and then until it didn't. We like now that I'm getting older, I'm just like, and they teach you all this shit when you're young, and you're just like, no, the American system is really fucking backwards. Like it's just really fucking backwards. Like we can't fucking pass like regular laws that like humans need because of our system of and people say, oh, it's our checks and balances. It's not a checks and balances. It's a massive you know, weight against urban America towards rural America, on how we like run our country. Anyway, I talked about this earlier. Do I think it'll help Democrats in the midterms? I think it may help them, but the question is whether it'll help them enough. As I say, Democrats are quick. Left-wingers are quick to forget, start talking about other things. Republicans are really good at finding some random fringe issue to talk about instead. And so that's likely to happen. You know, you need people to be really, really motivated and consistently motivated. On the national level for presidential elections, like, you know, left wingers like are great. Like we have won 7 of the last 8 presidential elections in the popular vote. Okay, 7 of the last 8. Like not since it's pretty insane when you put it like that. That this is where America wants to be and where America is in two different places because of how shitty our representation is and how like we do not have equal representation in America. I think it's going to help them. You know, being a pessimist, I just don't know if it's going to help them enough. Like we can do what we can. We can do what we can. That's the thing. I'd like to touch on wealth class element. Republican justices have the money to travel to access. This is the big thing, and this is the issue in Ice and Fire as well. Like in Ice and Fire, we only hear about highborn people occasionally having the ability to get moon tea. And it's the same in America. I mean, if you have the ability to drive fucking 1,000 miles sometimes, I'm trying to think if you're like in the middle of Texas, how far you'd have to drive. That's if you have access to a car, right? So say you're a 14-year-old girl in Houston who's gotten pregnant. Like where are you going, and how are you going to get your abortion? You know, and do you have the time to take off work? Do you have the money to take off work? Because a lot of people don't have that kind of shit. So let's see here. Here's America. So if you're in the middle of Texas, you got to either get to New Mexico, Oklahoma banned, Arkansas banned, Louisiana banned, Mississippi banned, Tennessee, Texas. You've got to get to Kansas. Get to Kansas or New Mexico is where you got to go. If you're a place like Kentucky, you got to make to Virginia or Maryland. Wisconsinites got to go to Chicago or Minnesota. It's big trips. It's a pain. It's of course about like wealth and access and things like that. This is what they're hoping for, you know, like those rich people that only vote for Republicans because of low taxes and only think of themselves. Like, you know, that's what they're going to think about. They're like, oh, what happens if my daughter gets pregnant? Well, I can always fly her someplace. Daddy can get her out of this. But, you know, for the average poor person, it's fucking fucked situation. Road trip. 14-year-old girl is working sometimes. Yeah. Do you not know America? But she also has school, you know. But yeah, lots of 14-year-olds work. Yeah. I mean, these are other things to think about. Like, okay, people think about like America. Average household income. Okay. So the average household income in America is $68,000 a year. Okay, so let's go with the there's percentiles, income percentiles, because you're like, oh, $68,000 a year. That's pretty healthy, right? Now, in the 20th percentile, your income is the average income is about $28,000 a year for the average household. This household of 4, you know, kind of idea. So 25% of America is functioning on $28,000 a year. Okay. So you kind of say, okay, if you're a household with $28,000 a year, do you think you have the resources and money? First of all, it's tough. I mean, I can't believe, like, even affording an abortion at that point is by itself is really tough. But now you're talking about the money and time to travel to another state. It's and get that abortion and come back, missing school or missing work. I mean, I mentioned 14-year-olds because it's more sympathetic to think of children, but like, say you're 18, say you're 20. Can you afford to take off work? Will work fire you if you take off to take a road trip to New Mexico or regular Mexico? Yes. So now Mexico itself is going to, but again, if you have to have a passport now, since post 9/11, I think to travel in and out of Mexico. Have you spent the time and effort to get a passport? Because passports take months. So and they're like $100. So, funny enough, one of the options, so Spitfire says quick to the abortion plane. Funny enough, one of the ideas being floated was hot air balloon. I'm serious. That
what?
if you, yeah, I'm fucking serious. That one of the ideas being floated are hot air balloons. That you can send people to a hot air balloon, have you and the doctor go up in the hot air balloon, have them prescribe you the abortion pill, and then have you come down. Yeah, no, this is being talked about.
Reminds me of like one of those states that will you hire them to find your lost marijuana, and they'll go out and with their team of psychics and detectives and find the marijuana that you lost and bring it to you for a fee.
Yeah, this is the world that we're living. This is how fucked up and crazy America is. That we're talking about, like, what do we do now that we're forcing women to birth? And then it's like outside the box thinking, like lemonade stands at national parks, hot air balloons, to get people abortions. It's yeah. This is the thing, like, oh, but it's so fucking easy. Oh my god, it's so easy to be a woman. It's so fucking easy to be a woman. Oh, like, oh my god, like it's just the fact that women have had to worry about this shit, the anxiety, like, people don't realize, like, the amount of stress and anxiety some of these things have. Like I say, like all the DACA people, like how much stress DACA people have had over the years, and what it does to their psyche, not knowing their status, being unsure if they're going to get deported and things like that. Like, just horrible things, like the horrible toll that's being put on somebody for months at a time, for years at a time. It's just fucking cruel.
Or the kids at the border, or the Afghan refugees.
Oh my god, people still in camps, people that have been taken away from their families. Just like the lack of sympathy, like that people have. Oh, I had to deal with a girl in the sci-fi movie. Fuck feminists. Like, fuck, like, oh my god, dude. Like, since Sweet Robin's fanfic is the only Winds of Winter we're getting, you will have to decide what happens to Asha and her maybe baby. Yeah, I think when we get to the Asha chapter, she's definitely gonna be pregnant. I think that's gonna be a must.
By the way, speaking of the fanfic, when we getting that prologue, bro? When's that coming down?
The prologue, we finished the prologue. It's with editors. We're working on it. It's I like it a lot. I like there's a lot of different ideas that I got that I didn't expect and that were good, and so I included all of them, or many of them, and I really really like it. but I think the version I wrote and put together like doesn't quite have like George R. R. Martin feel. There's a few things that I wanted that, you know, there's definitely some weaknesses that like I recognize in it, even though I do like it a lot, like what happens, but like not
Send
enough
it to me.
foreshadowing here and not, you know, that kind of stuff. So the editors are kind of working on it and seeing what ideas they have as well to improve it.
Gotcha. So it's a process. By the way, real quick,
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna say this right now, one more fucking time.
Mm.
Stop sending me your chapters. I am not. I'm gonna give it to him. Stop sending it to me. And to the fucking guy who sent me your Davos, if you get a Davos from a dude named Nicholas, throw it in the trash. Immediately throw it in the trash. Put that shit on fire. Fuck that guy. I know he's listening right now. Fuck you, bro. I told you to stop sending me this shit. Stop sending it to me. You fuck. But I did read it though. It was okay. But still, stop sending it to me, you motherfucker.
Another request. Can we get back to A Song of Ice and Fire? Well, if conservatives wouldn't keep fucking up the country, they wouldn't be fucking this like up my live streams. Okay, if women had, you know, talk to me when like you can complain when like when women have like full safe access to reproductive options or not reproductive options. Like Jesus Christ, like. Like I understand that you're slightly annoyed that like you can't get your full A Song of Ice and Fire content. Just think about how women feel when they're forced to fucking birth. Okay? Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, when I did income stuff, I should put in median instead of average because average is going to be way higher than median because we got disproportionate number of rich people. Should have put in median. Median income in America. Oh yeah. Much lower. I think. Um, um, Top 1% in America earned $500,000 a year, while the 25th percentile, 20. I can't believe they didn't do the fifth. This it's weird where they shifted around. 25th percentile, 33. 10th percentile, $15,600. Can you imagine? Household of four. 10% of America has $15,000 to work with. Um, yeah.
A lot of people are broke ever since crypto crashed. A lot of people are broke.
NFTs, right? I can
NFTs,
imagine
they're going
like
somewhere.
you imagine these online bros being like, dude, if a woman wants an abortion, just sell one of her NFTs and then she can fucking have plenty of money to fly to fucking California and get her abortion. Like I don't understand what the problem is.
You did it, Preston. You solved abortions for everybody.
I know, everybody just gotta sell their NFTs. Does she have a portfolio of crypto? I mean, what the fuck? um Do you think it's viable for people in the US to move to the EU as a way to improve their situation? Sincerely confused, as by any European. I mean, Europeans have fairly restrictive immigration laws and work laws when it comes to just having people come and work. So it's easier for an American to probably go to Canada. Plus, like, you know, well, Jesus, you know, Canada has birthright citizenship, so all the Americans have to do is cross the border with their forced birth baby, have a baby, and then they're fucking in Canada, you know. And then when their next abortion, when their next pregnancy comes, they can get an abortion, if, you know, free in Canada. Oh man, it's yeah. Who knows? Who knows what we can do?
By the way, evil Preston Jacobs, that's what I
Hmm.
call him. Evil Preston Jacobs had a
This is
interesting thing
like
I
Evil
wanted
Preston
you.
Jacobs is you talking to me offline.
Yo, you say some crazy. No, no. Evil Preston Jacobs is the guy who looks like you if you were a meth head. It's Coomer. You know him.
Oh yeah. Of course. I don't know
Yeah, Evil
why.
Preston Jacobs.
I don't think I'll ever look like Coomer.
You'll never look like unless you start doing meth like right now. But you gotta start early. But that's
Mm,
I
mm,
call him
mm.
Evil Preston Jacobs.
Yeah. Why did he say something interesting?
I thought he said something interesting about what we should do with the conservative. Yeah, put it in your search thing.
Oh no, I saw it, but it's like, what can you do? You've just got a democratic process. That's all we can do. Um, you know, I'm not like these. I'm not like these right wingers that are like, we got to get our guns and like go to war. It's like, oh my god. Like, no, you fucking go and vote. We fucking vote and organize and vote and make sure Republicans never get in office ever fucking again. That's what you do. Ever again. That's what you do. You vote. You call out people for being idiots, and like for promoting like this like weird anti-woman shit like when they can, you know. You educate people, you get people knowledgeable about stuff, and that's it, you know. uh, but you know, what am I going to be like the right wingers and be like, we got to get our guns and kill people?
He's right there. Look at him, right there.
I
Right,
know.
dude. That the evil pre. Oh my god.
First of all, my ears don't stick out like that. My ears don't stick out like that.
I know they don't. That's what I'm saying. He's you, but evil. He's the evil you.
What parts of A Song of Ice and Fire do you think are most relevant to American politics? Well, I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire is mostly chick lit. It is mostly about the treatment of women and feminism and things like that, and how it relates to the institution of marriage and arranged marriages and reproductive, freedom and access and what equality is. Um, democracy, representation, those sorts of things are all covered in Ice and Fire, and it's the bulk of it. It's the bulk of it is about like thinking about patriarchy and benevolent patriarchy, yeah, benevolent sexism, regular sexism, like all these sorts of ideas and concepts, and making us rethink things. Because once you go to like George R. Martin's logical extreme, which George R. Martin makes, as much as we make fun of him, all right, because we do spend a lot of time, but like George R. Martin is right on a lot of things. Like once you like logically think about stuff, like look, I'm married and I'm happy to be married, but when you start examining like George R. R. Martin's like criticisms of marriage and the institution of marriage, you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. I see. And George R. R. Martin's been married twice, but I think the second time was essentially just for Social Security to get money from the government. But he's got very good criticisms of these institutions of making sex a commodity, and what that does to society when you try to put sex behind a door, and when you try to do all these different things to women. It's those are probably the most important aspects of it, and obviously the anti-war shit. But like we all get the anti-war shit. We kind of all know that war is bad. But that's the obvious stuff. We kind of all know war is bad, and we just don't fucking care, But um, yeah, liberals are like herding cats. Which, yeah, and the right is like sheep. I agree. It's really really difficult to get liberals to agree on stuff, and it's it's that is the big problem. You know, the fact that I get people so often, and sometimes they're trolls, sometimes they're conservatives pretending to be liberals, but sometimes I really do get leftists and liberals who are like, whatever, the parties are the same, I'm not going to vote for that person. You know, like the fact that anybody that sat out voting for Hillary when Hillary 100% aligned with their views, and there's going to be a lot of those people, is just had the wrong idea. Like, and you always get these, like, you know, Ralph Naderites, Bernie or Busters kind of types, you know, like, and that's the thing is, like, even Bernie Sanders doesn't promote this stuff, but then he gets these like groups around them, that are just kind of psychotic. Ralph Nader was that type. Ralph Nader was kind of a dick. He was like, whatever, if Al Gore couldn't win on his own, I'm not going to take the blame. Oh, fuck yourself. Like Ralph Nader. At least Bernie is like, no, we got to support Hillary. Like, no, and you know, people. Yeah. Well, just like I sat out. That's unfortunate, man. Look where we are. I mean, I'm not saying it's just you by yourself that did it, but it's like that idea. That idea was too bad. The Bernie brothers are sheep too. It's true, but that's the problem. Is that, like, if you can get them in, if you could just get them to sheepishly go to voting. But man, that's the thing. I always say, like, you know, like when you're given the option of broccoli or shit, like, or broccoli or rat poison, like, you're gonna eat broccoli, man. Pushing moderates, modern liberals are wacky in that they're pushing moderates to the right. I don't even know what a moderate is anymore. Like, what is a moderate, and what wacky aspect is pushing them to the right? That's what I don't know. Like, people talk about this concept, like what moderate is sitting there going, oh. I mean, I understand that, like, they get tricked on things like critical race theory, like, and then those people are just like, oh my god, you're such a fucking idiot. But I don't know what issue, like, the left is being wacky on that would push somebody to the right. Like, the issues in America are pretty clear cut at this point. I don't understand moderates. They let's see. Everyone is a sheep but me. I mean, I think earlier in the stream, I fully admitted that we all have our subconscious biases of, like, blending into the into what people around us think. And obviously, even the people that are the most sheep-like say this, right? But I don't know. I'm not going to toot my horn, but I think I am pretty insecure and self-examining in my beliefs, like, unusually so. Like, I question what I believe all the time. Like, so I mean, I don't think that, like, you know, even though this might be a criticism that you can say of a lot of people, that, like, oh, everybody's a sheep but me, but, like, I don't know. I really am critical of my own thoughts and rethink my thoughts a lot. But I'm kind of unusual. I'm kind of unusual. I don't know if many people, like, sit there and, like, have as much self-doubt as I do. My logic is murder is wrong, so abortion in my eyes is wrong. But I mean, this is easily, like, disputed with. I believe forcing women to birth something is wrong, and therefore forcing birth is wrong. Like, that's not very much logic to it. You have to have more to it. Like, why do you think something is a life? Like, where do you get that from? Because you're talking about forcing forcing a woman to birth. So what do you have in one hand to overcome forcing a woman to birth? Like where do you get, where are you getting, like what is your substantiation for something being a life? Like examine this, you know, examine it. It isn't their body. The fetus is its own living being. How so? Like it's connected, like the placenta is like interwoven, like both cells, like, and you've got an umbilical cord the entire time. Like how is it its own living being? How is that? You're literally connected to somebody else, like at that point. Who is forcing her to birth? She is choosing to have sex. So girls that can be raped, right?
That's an incel like talking point right there.
Right. Like she's choosing to have sex. I'm sorry, you know, like this is the thing. Is it all about this? Like you don't want women to have sex? Is this the whole thing? Is this the real issue? Is this the real issue? That you don't want women to have sex? Right? Is that it? You don't want women to be sluts? Is this the real issue? Okay. He wasn't here early in the stream. When sperm meets the egg, its DNA is different from those of the mother and father. So now DNA is a life? Because there's a lot of problems with this, okay? First of all, a lot of the DNA in your body is very different because, you know, it randomly gets hit by free radicals. So a lot of the DNA in your body is not uniform. But second, like, what do you mean? Like the sperm and the egg you want to use DNA? Like, how is that like the basis? Okay, hold on. Sex has consequences. Do you not agree? So you don't want to fuck. You don't like having sex. Like people shouldn't be able to have sex? Because a lot of things have consequences. A lot of things have consequences, and a lot of things like people get do-overs. You know, why is sex something you don't get a do-over from? Yeah. You shouldn't have sex, so no one else should. Like a lot, like do-overs happen all the time with everything. Like, you know, I trip, like my house starts at like, you know, I smoke at home and my house starts on fire. The fire department comes and puts it out for me. I trip and I break my leg. I get to go to the hospital. Why is a woman fucking like unforgivable? That's the real question. Right? And this is what's telling when you actually get to people. It's like, oh, no, actually, like I have the real problem that people have is that they have a problem with women having sex. Of course they have sex. No, but one should acknowledge the risk. Do you think, now, I would like to get into this. This is a big issue. So people talk about all the time about predatory lenders and shit like that. And people are like, oh, these predatory lenders are horrible, right? Oh my God, like they convinced people into having, into, you know, getting into these mortgages and shit. And it's amazing that like for something like that, there's forgiveness to somebody. But like a 14-year-old fooling around and getting hot and bothered and then having sex. Oh no, that's a rational person. That's a rational mind. Every decision that person is making is super rational. Everything else, I mean, everything else in life, we've got manslaughter charges like that are different from murder charges. We understand that there's a difference in mindset between a person that's like rational and not rational. Do you think like a 14-year-old child, like who is making out with their significant other and is getting hot and bothered, do you think that they are in the right mindset to make rational decisions that will affect the rest of their life? Talking about it, like, do you think you're going to convince me, dude? Like, no, I'm not wasting my time by going on Discord with you, dude. Like your arguments. You don't have a fucking good argument. Your arguments are really shit right now. Okay. you're like putting forward the I hate women having sex argument. That's how desperate you are. And you went to they have different DNA as like the reason you shouldn't get an abortion. That's some really fucking weird basic shit. And you're hiding the fact that like you're just religious and you're searching for reasons for like your youth group told you like abortion was wrong at your fucking like, you know, weekend youth group, and now you believe that shit and you've never spent the time to like question your own beliefs. Because like DNA is different. Oh my God, dude. Like who would ever make that argument? Who, and do you think that would be convincing to anybody? Oh man. I read a lot of academic studies on the history of the Bible. The academic conscientious is that even ancient Christians in the Old Testament don't recognize the termination of the fetus as murder. It's true. These sorts of ideas came in the last like 50, 60 years, kind of randomly. Weirdly, even in the Islamic world, you can kind of get abortions fairly easily. And there's the reason for this is that the Islamic world is largely concerned with the honor of a family, of family and protecting honor. And so giving a family the option to pursue abortion to protect their family's honor is something that's kind of like allowed. It's a little hush hush, but like, but it's there, you know? That's the thing, man. It's amazing once you get into people, like how they really just want to, talking to people, they just really want to fucking stop women from having sex. I know. Anti-abortion people don't understand the basic science. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I explained earlier that like 3/4 of fertilized eggs like don't make it to term, and somehow like I guess we should all be mourning this fucking massive world of like dead humans that never existed. Abortion was banned far before Roe v. Wade. Yeah, but again, like it's like how much were people really thinking about this stuff, and were they really about like, was it really about trying to stop thinking that they could prevent women from having sex? Like, oh, we should not promote, because this is the thing. Like, I hear this argument still so much. Like, I don't want it as a form of conception because they think it'll promote women having sex. They think it'll promote sluts. You know. You get to appoint a Song of Ice and Fire character as a Supreme Court judge or Westeros law. Who's your preferred pick? If I wanted a Song of Ice and Fire character for a Supreme Court justice, Asha. Probably. She would probably be the best one. I mean, weirdly, like Ironborn characters would probably have the best ideas about personal freedom, and what it means. You know, everybody else would be kind of screwed up, in their beliefs. But like, I think Asha would probably be one of the best characters. You know, and her crew, Carl the Maid, whatever. You know. Like they're the ones that are going to understand. But who else in the story respects women? Like, you know, Brienne is super self-loathing and religious. So like, it's just not going to work out. So you turn these things around. It's just life begins at birth, dude. Like, that's it. It's practically speaking. Now, in truth, like, where does life begin? There's no beginning point. Human beings transition into understanding the world. Like, even when I look at my child who's nearly 3, like, there's a lot of things he doesn't understand. Like, when a child is born, he doesn't understand time and space. They don't understand gravity. They don't understand the difference between object and not object. They can't really understand colors. Everything's blurry. And then over time, they grasp a little bit more. Like currently, my child doesn't understand the difference between present and past. He doesn't understand that like today, there's markers on the ground, but yesterday there were puzzle pieces on the ground. That concept, he can't like that's not yet there. Like you get all sorts of weird things. Like there was a time like when he was around 1, you couldn't recognize himself in mirrors, you know? And then he could, and he understood that, oh, that's me. Like slowly but surely, like consciousness comes into existence. Birth is just a practical point. And again, you came into these things. You start talking about late term stuff. Late term stuff. What's the difference in 8-month fetus? Late term stuff is health of the mother. It's 1% of abortions, and they're all done for health of the mother. Okay, you're talking about like 6,000 in America. At 8 months, we're talking like a couple, like 100. Like there's probably 100 in America at 8 months. Like very few. The fact that you're bringing this shit up means you have been given very bad information. Very, very bad information. And I'm going to pick on you, Jasper, because I do think that with proper information and some self-examination that there's some hope for you. Okay? Because you clearly don't have the information. All right? Your problem here isn't logic, is that you have been denied knowledge and education your whole life. You brought the, again, 8 month, like that's one, like at most, like a few hundred births, and they're all for health of the mother. Like people are dying because of ectopic pregnancies. Keep bringing it up. Okay. Keep bringing it up. Again, these aren't happening. These are all health of the mother shit. Yeah, but yes, for me, 3rd trimester is okay. It's absolutely okay. Absolutely. Because you're talking about saving people's lives. We're talking about saving the woman's life who's going to die. You didn't, take this in again, okay? These abortions that happen late term are for health of the mother. She will die unless she gets it. These are ectopic pregnancies. Look up ectopic pregnancy if your parents give you, enough hours on your internet access every day. If eugenics were a common belief, would the abortion debate be easier? I don't think eugenics really. Well, first of all, there's a lot of misunderstanding about what eugenics is. Eugenics is when the state chooses to choose a path or the group collectively chooses a path for society to go. Where on an individual level, everyone's a eugenicist. Okay, everybody wants the best, healthiest baby that they can have. That's why we choose beautiful people, the most beautiful person, most intelligent person, the most successful person that we can to breed with. Everybody wants that. Eugenics is like all of society choosing something. And so I think it has I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the abortion debate. If somebody wants to, abort a deformed fetus, yeah, they should have the right to abort a deformed fetus. No one wants that shit for themselves. It's when the state starts implementing, this is what's a good thing in as a quality of a human being, that things start getting fucked up. I'm talking about, this is all personal choice, the woman's choice. Well, the 92, this is all done when I agree, abortion is fine. 92, the fact that you use this fucking word, convenience. There's no fucking convenience to it, right? These are people's fucking lives. Convenience. Fuck you for using that fucking word. Yeah, it's so, it's just convenient. Do you understand, what it is like to have a fucking kid? To be pregnant? How much fucking work it is? You want to fucking make 14-year-olds do that? You want to force women to do that? Convenient. The fact that I should ban you for fucking using the word convenience, you sick fuck. Okay? Somebody used it earlier. Pisses me off, man. Okay? Health issues. 92 are done for convenience. These are the ones done when it's microscopic. Okay? 99% of abortions happen before 20 weeks. 99. So the fact that you're like bringing up these like late term shit and then on the other hand saying I'm fine with the health issue stuff means you're in this fucked up misinformation place. Because the only ones that are these like physical bodies that look like people, that maybe look like people, are the late term health ones. And all of the ones that are microscopic are the ones that are, you know, for convenience. Fuck you for using that fucking word. Jesus Christ. You know nothing about the world. Nothing. Okay? And you have no access to facts. Like 99% before 28 weeks. 1% after, and that's for health of the mother. Health of the woman. You know? That's it. Like,
you want to get a water?
I mean, this is why you're here, to try to stop me get pissed off.
I can't do that. But first off, it's too funny. Number one. Number two, you're on a roll. I don't want to stop it. It's good content here. I will say, though, a lot of people I have this conversation with privately, they make it seem as though abortion is just as easy as getting the morning after pill. That's how they see it. So, you know, I don't want to get the morning after pill. I forgot I was lazy. I could just get the abortion. They make it seem like it's like going into a Burger King and ordering a Whopper.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's not.
Like going to your fucking doctor and getting prescriptions and all that shit. Like finding space in a doctor's schedule. Like having healthcare. Like, first of all, getting fucking healthcare in America. Fuck. Like finding a doctor who has the time to see you. Fuck. Getting the fucking pill. Fuck. Dealing with the after effects of that pill. Fuck. Convenient. Here's another fucking same sex selective abortion is fun. You know what's worse? The government telling you what to fucking do. Okay? You know, do you want me to fucking... No. I'm not gonna... Like, a law... having the government come in and like try to like arrest people for sex selective abortion is far worse than sex selective abortion. And that's what we're going to have right now. So one of the big health issues now is that because abortion is getting criminalized places, that now when a woman has an ectopic pregnancy, some healthcare providers, because they can be prosecuted for giving abortions, will not participate because someone might think that they're giving someone an abortion for a non-like health reason. And so it becomes harder and harder for women to even have abortions for saving their own life. It's insane. How many 14-year-olds are getting abortions? Lots. Tens of thousands. Like in America, there's over 600,000 abortions per year. Like, so many 14-year-olds are getting abortions. Who do you think, like, oh my God. I think it's something like, I think it's how, like the percentage, I think it's, what is it, 25% of abortions are people under the age of 18? It's hard to get these stats because, you know, it's roughly 10% under the age of 18. So 10%. So 60,000 minors are getting abortions. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jasper, you have some pretty strong beliefs for not having any information, for like not having any stats. Like, it's amazing that you came to such like strong opinions with no knowledge on something. And I wonder why. Like, why did you come to such... Did your youth group tell you this shit? Like, who told you this shit? You know? Why is it wrong for me to use third-term abortions? I can use 14-year-olds who are minority. Because the third-term abortions are the ones that are for the health of the woman. They're one and the same. You just said you were for them. You just said that for health of the woman, you were fine, and now you're criticizing third term abortions. Like, you make no sense, dude. Like, you just said that health of the mother was fine as a reason, And then you're saying, oh, it's fine for me to attack third term abortion. They're one and the fucking same. What's fucking wrong with you, dude? I'm gonna keep picking on him. He's good content. I'm fucking angry. I'm sure boring everybody else. Like, what the fuck, dude? I know. It's not health of the mother. It's health of the woman. You know? But the health of the pregnant woman. It's not viable. You're right that I keep fucking up. It's the the problem with language. Does a fetus have a soul? Pew, pew, pew. God, pew. Souls right in. Pew. Oh. What 0.2%? What is this? You're like I had like what like lots of teens get abortions. Maybe the fathers are in their 20s. That's true. That's true. Why are we stuck on 14-year-olds? It's irrelevant. It's true. The point is like the reason people bring up these sorts of things is they want to we're kind of looking at the law now in its extreme case. So currently, 14-year-olds can't do this. Because most people are illogical when they come to abortion. They're like, oh, it kind of makes me queasy, but if it's a 14-year-old, I can understand because that's a really sympathetic person. But, why should it matter? Shouldn't all women have that right? Yes, of course. But we bring up the 14-year-olds just because they're the most sympathetic. Dude, I just fucking looked up this data. Like, where are you getting this from? Like, what? Like it was 10% under the age of 18, under 15, less than 1%. Also, like, stats in America are all weird because we have many, many little clinics everywhere. But it doesn't matter. Like, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Okay? It's a lot of fucking women. Like 1% of 1% of 600,000 is 6,000 14-year-olds. I find that an anti-abortion position implicitly relies on defect and adequate argument of the existence of the soul. Absolutely, it does. Like, this is why the only argument is religious. The weird thing is that, like, this guy that, like, I've been picking on, he's religious and he's trying desperately to find all these other, like, little factoids. This is very, like, Ben Shapiro-ish, right? Like, fundamentally, the problem with Ben Shapiro is that he's religious. But he, like, tries to find all these, like, logic reasons. And you're like, no, that's, like, just stop lying to me. I know the reason. And the reason is because you're religious. Like, we were brought back in time 100 years. Thoughts on New York concealed gin decision. I'm sure you mean guns. Thoughts that we're going the other way post-weekly shitties. Yeah, it's horrible. These fucking people are going to die. People are going to die. Guns kill a lot of people in America every day.
Yet somehow they don't care about the gun stuff. They do care about this.
I know. Well, because again, it's all about this, like, conservative male, like, idea that, like, I'm this regular man that needs to protect his house and castle from the black person invading. But, and I got my wife and she's a good woman, but I don't want them sluts out there, like, causing any trouble, Warging zygotes, which is it's exactly what they believe, that God is shooting souls into the zygote. Moderates are people easily impacted by vocabulary. That's good. That's a good. That's probably pretty true. So I used to work for Social Security way back in the day. And one of the weird things about at the time was W. Bush was pushing for personal accounts for Social Security. And hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. Have we banned that guy yet?
I don't know. The I know. I'm glad you came in to just calm me down because I just start looking like a fucking raving madman. But I was saying real quick that like I used to work for Social Security, and they were trying to push these things called personal accounts on Social Security, which actually exist in a country called in Chile. But people can take the money that they're allocated, and a portion of it you can put into a mutual fund, and then it can like the idea being, well, it can make more money in the stock market, and therefore you can have more for retirement. And when they went out and did surveys of people, and they said, oh, would you like your own Social Security, like personal Social Security account that you can do with what you want? 75% of people were like, yes. But if you ask them, do you want a Social Security account that could be put into the stock market? 75% were like, no. It was the same thing, but it was like how it was worded, right? Like, and so,
right.
Yeah. And if you said like, are you for Bush's policy of, you got 50-50 split no matter what it was, So like, it didn't matter. It's the same, like these people that are like, oh, I'm all for the American Care Act, but I'm against Obamacare. Like you get these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. Oh, geez. That's branding. That's branding.
Yeah. So I mean, abortion's the same way, but So how's Australia these days? And what?
Oh, things are great down here. No problems at all. You know how Canada is like a post-racial paradise? It's like that, but everyone has even stupider accents, so it's even more fun.
But there must be some worry, like every time America does something super fucking stupid, that Australia or Canada might follow suit.
Well, our systems are like so very different to the way that your country runs. Not your. You live in Taiwan. What am I talking about? Like you're not even there.
It's still my country. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, true. No, we're not really in danger of that kind of thing happening. Like it could, but the process would have to be so very different. It's not just up to 9 people who need a simple majority to overturn a single case from 50 years ago. It just doesn't happen like that here.
Yeah, it's a pretty bonkers, dumb system. Yeah.
You could say that.
By the
that
way,
was a joke, by the way. I know that Canada is not a post-race. That was a joke.
Yeah. I mean, though Jackie did mention that in some countries they do have these like slim majority referendums that can really fuck the country because
like Brexit.
Yeah. That at least in America we kind of don't have that. Though I kind of feel if we had an abortion, if we had a national referendum on abortion, it would definitely like pass. But because I'd be scared about other issues. Like when they made same-sex marriage legal, a national referendum would have probably failed. It would probably pass now, but not.
See, the thing is, we actually did do a referendum on that. It was a plebiscite that a lot of political ire was made about. It cost a lot of money to do a thing that everyone knew the electorate wanted it to happen anyway, and it wasn't even binding. It was so annoying.
There's worse things to waste money on. Like I'm just thinking about the number of court cases that are now going to happen in 50 states throughout America, and the amount of cost clogging everything. It's astounding. It's going to be astounding.
Not to mention the cost of like human suffering, but that's secondary to the cost of monetary value.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I got this message about so before this abortion issue came out, I was going to talk about Pride Month, but it's really sad that like this came out because there was I saw this really great documentary called The Lavender Scare. So I went to my first Pride event today. It was nice. Also, there was solidarity with my sisters in the struggle. That's nice though that happened because I do think that the gay community, the LGBT Q plus, I'm gonna forget all the letters are gonna be worried.
That's what the plus is for, baby.
Yes, considering that the fact that like they were called out by Clarence Thomas in the decision. But it was really interesting because as a federal employee, it used to be illegal for gay people to work for the government. And this was illegal on the books up until 1995, where Bill Clinton like passed an executive order like ending it. But like now it was like not really enforced post like 1980, but like it was really weird how people went into like they were ruining people's lives. And this documentary talked about the people that committed suicide because the government was like Eisenhower came into power and passed an executive order saying that gays couldn't work for the government because they were a security risk.
God.
Yeah. The theory, which had no basis, was that a gay person could be blackmailed easily, and then I'm gonna pick on a kid again. So a gay person could be black. I'm gonna be black. A gay person could be blackmailed easily, and therefore they're a security risk, and they would be giving up security information. And it is true, like having gone through this process and knowing about security clearances quite a bit. I spent years of my life actually like dealing with the security clearance process in government and doing studies of it. It is true that like blackmail is an enormous aspect of the background check process. So for instance, you're not allowed to have much personal debt in order to become a government employee, which is a real problem. Actually, probably like those screeners at the airport, because they worry about the screeners at the airport stealing people's stuff. They have a law on the books that says that if you have more than $5,000 of delinquent debt, you are ineligible for being a TSA screener.
Right.
But of course, $5,000 of delinquent debt means like if you don't have healthcare and you went into the emergency room for any reason and then the bill came and you said, fuck it, I can't pay that. I don't have, because you're done. Like you can't get a job. Like, or like, you know, a credit card company has been after you for a few months for $5,000. You're done. Right. And so, but the thing is that there's never actually been in the history of America.
Yeah, I figured.
A single case in which a gay person was blackmailed and divulged classified information.
And here I was thinking that it was just because gays are commies.
It was really fucked up this is the way to talk about like the secret conservative aspects of Hollywood. So Eisenhower was a real fucking like anti-gay, like horrible bastard. Like he ran on this principle of bringing back morality to America and getting rid of corruption in Washington. It was essentially drain the swamp, right? It was the same shit. But everybody looks back on Ike fondly, with "I like Ike" being this like slogan.
Yeah.
And in fact, even in the most recent Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones fucking says straight up to the guy harassing him for being a communist, "I like Ike." You know, you could imagine this like how conservative like Hollywood actually is in many respects. But no,
they show a single gay couple kissing, so they're no, you're wrong. They're actually they're part of the trans rights indoctrination program.
Yeah. Now back to bullying Jasper Lane. Birth control and sex ed need to be taught. Now, as I said, there is conception with the pill and with IUDs. So the fact that, you know, this guy is talking about like pushing birth control while banning abortion at the same time shows that you don't know anything. Like, are you against the pill? That's the thing. Are you against the pill and IUDs? And also,
what do you think the pill does, Jasper? What do you think it does? Because if you think that life starts at DNA, you should be opposed to the pill as much as you are to abortion.
Also, the fact that like you're also talking about ending any couples that want in vitro fertilization. because when you do in vitro fertilization, you essentially put a whole clutch of dragon eggs into a petri dish, and then you get like a certain number, a certain percentage are all fertilized, and then you take that fertilized and you implant, and you put sometimes several. You implant several because there's failure rate at each point, and then you put several into the uterus and hope that one is viable. And most of the time it doesn't work. Some of the times you end up having triplets. But all those ones in the petri dish, go into the trash. So you're talking about ending in vitro fertilization as well.
That's okay. Those people didn't need babies. Yeah.
Oh man.
I think he's gone on to say that he does oppose the pill.
Oh God. Oh.
Just don't even.
I know, man. I know. Yeah. Any birth control.
So much better.
Any birth control that puts the choice in the hands of women. I mean,
he did mention tube tying, which is that's great.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it could be a lot easier to do vasectomies for everybody. So I brought up
He mentioned vasectomies as well, and vasectomies are like, I think it's too permanent a solution. I know it can be undone, but isn't it kind of risky? I'm not educated on that.
There is, with anything there is risk. But I don't when you would actually have that situation where you'd give every boy at the age of 12 would get a vasectomy. And vasectomies are a fairly simple procedure. Like if you want to have nightmares, you can look up vasectomy gun. Which is essentially a handheld like thing that just goes and like within 15 minutes, like you can give somebody a fairly safe vasectomy. Of course, there are risks. I mean, you probably would have like a 1% error in reversal rates and things like this, meaning you'd have permanent sterilization of a certain percentage. But if you were to implement something,
that's a risk Jasper is willing to take.
Yeah, but if you were to have that, like, no way, like everyone would be like up in arms. Like, this is America where we can't even wear masks. Like, and of course it's like being done to men. That's one thing, Look up Alan Turig's story. Very sad. Oh no, this is something.
Oh, do you not know?
I do not.
Oh, I'm sorry for what you're about to find out.
Is that the gay man from the UK?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fucked up.
The guy who basically thwarted the Nazi communication efforts during the war and then received nothing other than what term would you use? Denouncement? Because he was a gay.
Yeah. Now, what's fun? What's the lavender scare is one of those. The guy who ends up in America, who ends up changing the law and doing everything, is this. He was a young guy who wanted to be an astronomer, and he got fired for some reason early on for being gay. And he was just like so bitter. He's just like, well, this was one of those situations where I was right and the rest of the world was wrong. And I was going to make the rest of the world bend to my will. And I was like, oh my God, you're awesome, dude. And he died just a few years ago. But he like fought his whole life, and then he saw it all happen. He saw like all of his efforts, like every legal case, like he just like would get part of and like dedicated his life to being an activist. And, he won in the end. So, I mean,
who was this guy?
I'm gonna look him up. Let me find his name, because I'm gonna. Astronomer. I've got to find this. It's too bad that. Oh, here we go. His name is Frank Kameny. So Frank Kameny was thrust into unemployment because of his sexual orientation in 1957. He was working as an astronomer for the United States Army Map Services, but was fired as a result of the lavender scare and could not find another job in the U.S. federal government. And so he devoted his life to the gay rights movement. And he was a fascinating guy because he essentially found this like fairly playful. So he was looking for gay civil rights organizations in America at the time, and there weren't really any. There were a couple like fun like collective clubs that existed, and so he found one, the largest one, called the Mattachine Society, that was not actually even like political. They were just like a club for meeting other gay guys in Washington D.C. And he took them over, right. And he was like, "We're a political organization now." And they're like, "Oh, what?" You know, and he was relentless, and he would convince all of these people, like, "We're going to protest, but if you come to my protest, you got to do it my way. You wear a suit, you wear a dress." And so like some of these lesbians had never worn dresses in their life, and they're like, "Wait, I have to wear a dress?" And he's like, "Yes, we're wearing a dress." And so and you know, and they picketed, and they did legal cases, and they fucking won in the end. And he I think they call him the godfather of the gay rights community. So it was Lavender Scare documentary, like, it's really fascinating because it's I mean, maybe it hit me more just being a federal employee and being like, fuck, like, I know exactly about these interviews. Like, it's like, I know, like, you know, when I have a security clearance, like, re-up, like, what the people ask and how they ask it and stuff like that. And like, I know, like, it hit me a lot just being like, oh my God, like the worry and anxiety that a lot of these people got. I mean, and like I said, led to a bunch of suicides and people not being able to get work and stuff like that. And the interviews they actually interviewed some of the people that were doing the interrogations, and some of them were unrepentant. They're just like, "Yeah, we got this one gay guy who, like, he committed suicide like a week later, you know, whatever." And you're like, "Oh God."
Life goes on. We gotta it's all for the movement.
Yeah. Quick question on the leather burning in Davos's first chapter in Quentin theory. Yeah, it's a weird one, but at the same time, there is a situation where you've got leather. The wildlings build leather turtle shells and attack the wall, and George R. R. Martin describes how the fire doesn't start them on fire and how they go out. So it's not that George R. R. Martin doesn't understand that leather doesn't burn. He does understand that leather doesn't burn. So why did he get this situation wrong with Davos and the burning of the seven on the beaches of Dragonstone? So I don't know. Maybe they had some wildfire or some sort of like I don't know, accelerant or something, or maybe George is just inconsistent.
Maybe Davos was wrong and it's not actually leather. What if it's just a leather-esque flammable material?
It was fleather. It was
yeah.
It was fleather.
It was
vinyl. Oh man. So Glidus, do you think I have any chance of convincing, like, some of these, this bringing back to very early in the stream, convincing some of these like anti-feminist like hacks to change their ways and stop throwing in the anti-feminist jokes?
Do you mean like other creators?
Yes, like other content creators.
Oh geez. It must be difficult for them to change, even if like their views do change. That's how they get their bag these days, you know.
Yeah.
It's like convincing them to. It's a lot easier to change one person's perspective and what they're willing to say in their creations than it is to alter their entire audience's tastes. But again, I guess that's kind of the point: is you want to influence what they're telling the people that watch their stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. How influential do you think you are?
That's the
Could
thing
you use some of that CIA
like,
power you've accrued over the years?
am I
Send a SWAT force to
right, like try to get a cancel
SJWs
squad
for everything.
That's the question. Like okay, I'm specifically thinking about someone like Critical Drinker as someone to focus on because he has a large enough following that I feel like he doesn't need it. And I've listened to some of his thoughts, and it's like he's a somewhat nuanced individual. I might be wrong, you know, that like maybe if we got him to sit down with anyone and talk about these issues, that he'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll stop, you know. But then maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, and he's actually like some religious guy who is completely against abortion and be like, no, fuck no, yeah, like I love bashing feminists.
You think that if you sat down with Critical Drinker, you could get him to change his mind? Because yeah. I have someone better that you could talk to. I don't know him, but I could try to get him. I'll pay you $100 to get Mike Zero on and convince him that Kathleen Kennedy is not going to be fired tomorrow. I will fucking pay you $100. Glidus, do you know this guy? Mike Zero?
Mike Zero? No, I don't think I do.
Mike Zero got dunked on by Ryan Johnson, and Mike Zero's channel is...
Wait, hang on. I've just typed him into YouTube search, and the autocomplete results are Mike Zero clickbait, Mike Zero fake news, Mike Zero is trash.
Oh, he is the worst. He's one of the worst content creators of all time.
Oh my God.
And
look at these thumbnails. Oh no.
Disney just fired Kathleen Kennedy from Star Wars. I thought she was fired 2 years ago. What's going on?
Yeah. He's that guy. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson put this dude on fucking suicide watch. But no, if you can convince Mike Zero that Kathleen Kennedy is not fired, I'll give you $100. I'll try to get him on. Oh, by the way, Glidus, are you still on his channel real quick?
I mean,
go to his videos. Look at all real quick. Look at his videos. Look at all the fucking timestamps.
I'm looking at them. Yep, they're all 9 minutes.
Oh my God!
Every single one of them.
The same. Within like seconds. I'm sorry
That's
to the audience.
Creepy.
Oh my God! It's like one video every day or every other day, same topic.
Like there's 2 a day.
Oh my God! And then I mean, he doesn't get that many views. But
Kathleen Kennedy,
how can there possibly be that much Star Wars news every day?
There's not. I love Star Wars, and there's really not. She was fired like 2 weeks ago. What? And now she's fired today again. Oh my God! What is happening? What is happening? I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to convince Critical Drinker, and you can't say that. Does he have enough following? Sure, but you got to keep up the following. I don't know him. I've never seen a lot of his stuff.
This is about like who can be convinced to because also like if you can convince somebody that has a big following of saying like outright like no, like look, I'm actually for this specifically to his viewers, then you're like influencing people as well, people that
yeah,
you know, yeah, so like you know, I haven't watched too many of Critical Drinker's like stuff, but like some of his stuff, he's like, you know, he actually said like it's a noble pursuit to try to have a diverse cast, and I was like, well, that's interesting. So maybe he'd be open to this idea of like stop blanketly, you know, saying feminism bad and saying like what we really need is proper, better feminist representation, you know, or something, you know, a little more nuanced. than what he has. So
I don't know. Like I said, I think it's deeper than that. I think these guys, like I said, I think these guys cater to a base who didn't get laid in high school, and they blame for some reason feminists for that. And there's always going to be a market for those incels. We don't live in a world anymore where the only way women can like get ahead is where they marry a guy. We live in a world where women have choice, and some guys don't like that, and they never will. So there's always. I'm not saying Critical Drinker believes this. I don't. Like I said, I don't know him. Never seen his stuff.
well, I mean,
But
I think that like they think about the bottom line first, but then you got to say, okay, some things are more important than your bottom line. Like, what are you willing to try out? I also don't think it's necessarily like good in the long term. Like if you're just like it's like like I say, it's like Urkel. Like you're driving your catchphrase into the ground. Like, is it time to
well, that's why I
Can
bring
I
up Mike
just say,
Zero.
I was absolutely astounded that you were able to pull out of your ass the exact number of episodes of Family Matters. How the hell did you do that?
Is that the actual number?
Off the
250?
off the top of your head, you said 215, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
and then you Google that
actually
it was
How did you know
215.
that?
Is it? Let me see. Is he actually
He
correct?
just knew that. He was right. I looked it up.
Oh wow. There you go. That's weird. Oh, okay.
I mean, sometimes I got these weird things. Like, I think I know that there's like 187 Next Generation episodes and things like this.
Oh,
Did I
well,
get
everyone
this?
knows that.
Let me Google that one.
Everybody knows that.
Is it? Oh, 178. I switched the numbers. I said
Oh, you
87. It was 78.
Disappointed.
But no, you say like isn't it enough? No, like just like with Mike Zero, he keeps doing the same punchline over and over again. Kathleen Kennedy, Kathleen Kennedy.
Right, but that's
think
all
it
he
would
has.
be
Having
enough.
2K views a day.
That's all he
That's
has.
still money.
But I feel like
I guess.
certain guys want to branch out and do other things because they either get sick of something or like they might want to do some other So it's just
Those are the normal people who want to like branch out and do other things, and then you have people who are like methodically on this one thing because either they have like some mental thing, or that's what they really enjoy doing. Like Mike Zero, once again, he really likes harping on Kathleen Kennedy. I think he just wants to have sex with her, but
Right.
you could also argue that maybe it makes some money. And you're right, Glidus, he doesn't get that much views, but that's still 5 days ago he got 58,000 views. What's that, like a couple $100? It's money.
Now,
Yeah.
somebody's
Paying
saying
his
that he
bills.
does have a video with pro strong female characters and one about Michelle Yeoh and about a mother and her lesbian
Nice.
daughter. One thing I don't like is he's mentioned a bit, and again, I haven't even watched that many videos of his, but he does mention how like the female mother character he finds very compelling, and he brought up like Terminator 2, and I was like, really Terminator 2? Like, oh no. Like, I mean, there's infinite angles to portray a woman strongly. I think it's very funny that like the default for male writers who can't come up with anything is strong mother.
Ellen Ripley, Sarah
Ripley,
Connor,
strong mother.
Yeah.
How do we make Cersei relatable? Strong mother. make her like her kid. What about Jennifer? What about Elizabeth Shue in The Boys? A strong mother, cares about her kid. Make her a mom.
I liked my mom. That's what it comes down to. Is that the only conception they have? I'm like building a big fucking straw man over here, but have a look at him. Their only conception of a strong woman is their mum, because their mum is the only like woman they've been able to. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is going to be super uncharitable, but I'm going to say it. Their mother is the only woman they've been able to complexly envision in their entire lives. Maybe.
That's good. That's a good. That's a very good point.
Or their wife, who is, of course, mother to their children.
Yeah. 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 No, that's those are all very true. Yeah, I just, after this, it's just like, you're angry and you want, like you want to make a difference. You want to, like what can you do and what can you affect? I don't know. I don't know. Do you think we could get? Do you think we could get someone as large as Critical Drinker to sit down and talk to us?
No. Nope. See,
Straight up
the way
no.
the way it works is.
Do you think you could get Swifty to sit down, Glidus? Do you think you could get Swifty to sit down and have a conversation?
That's different. Didn't he reach out to you first, Glidus? Or did you reach out to him
Well, you
and he
mean, like,
replied?
the nature of our relationship? I'm not sure if I'm at
No.
Legends
No, how you
Disclosed.
met him? Did you reach out to him or did he reach out to you first?
I was the instigator of our relationship.
Oh, okay. So
That
yeah,
I
you were
have
small
pictures.
channels.
I have
but
pictures.
it's a bit more
and,
complicated than you might be.
No, I got you. Because sometimes this is the thing I've learned. After being on YouTube for 10 years, larger YouTubers really don't care or don't notice unless someone's like super nice. So if you reached out to him and he reached out to you, that shows you he's a nice dude. But other YouTubers who are like really big don't really care about like small content creators that much. They focus on their own thing, which understandable.
Well, there's a
But your boy Alt is pretty nice.
Yeah. It's a bit more complicated than that in our case for reasons I don't think I should expand on.
No, don't. It's
for
private.
Privacy. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, we were gay lovers beforehand, so
of course,
that's how we know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example, like when I met
Pride Month.
Nick Hodges, History Buffs, he he's a small channel, he's at 2,000, but I loved his content. I watched it, and I'm glad I hit him up, told me it was cool, and blah blah blah. I always like hitting up anybody, small or big, but I don't think we could get him on any level. Maybe, I don't know.
So like, again,
Possible. Hit him up.
Peter here says it's more likely the Critical Drinker would convince you of lazy hack writing. I already know there's lazy hack writing. The criticism, as I mentioned this earlier, is the criticism of that hack writing is a blanket, simple feminism bad message, rather than this is a cash grab and an unnuanced, unhelpful reflection of faux feminism. Okay, which I think he would agree with.
Have you seen this in your comments, Preston, where people like see that you're criticizing the late seasons of Game of Thrones? And I've seen this in my comments section. People like, yeah, man, feminism ruined it. And it's like, how is that what you took away from what I was saying? Like, I'm just over here detailing the incompetence of two men. And they're like, yeah, dude, the women.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I
walked on Game of Thrones.
Sometimes I really like slap my hand into my face and I'm like, how did you miss that? Like, actually, like speaking of Critical Drinker, like one of his most recent videos, and I only looked at his most recent ones, was about this new movie Prey, which is Predator, but instead, I think American Indians are trying to kill the Predator, and the lead is like a young American Indian woman. And Critical Drinker brings up the point that like what was great about the first Predator is that it was believable that you had all these like butch macho like guys trying to fight it, and it seemed realistic. And I was like, how did you miss the fucking plot of Predator? Like, what? How did you fucking miss that the first half of Predator is a fucking satire joke about masculinity and how masculinity is empty, and at the end he like has to. His whole thing is that he tries to trick the Predator is the only thing that works, and then ends up losing. Like, there's like it's a joke. Like the masculinity of like those guys is a farce. Like, and it does nothing like to protect them against their fears, which is like the whole point of Predator. Like, it's a criticism of masculinity. A beautiful like perfect movie. But like I like. But I'm just surprised that he could like miss that, of what it was. But I don't know. Who's the director? I think it was Shane Black. Yeah, he plays like the actual like other guy and that tells the dirty jokes in the
Oh, really?
in the helicopter. He's the one that's like, oh my girlfriend has a big pussy. My girlfriend has a big pussy, and he's like, it was the echo, and that's why I said it twice. And it was like this horrible joke. But like, it's such a brilliant. The first half of Predator is such brilliant satire of like everything that came out. But oh man, it is true
Also,
as well
praise
that it
isn't
has
out
all
yet.
this anti-imperialist kind of like aspects to it, that are amazing. But actually, who has a really brilliant breakdown of it is Patrick H. Williams has a really good breakdown of Predator. Um, I highly recommend about the whole movie.
He's an
So
interesting chap, that Patrick.
yeah. So you're saying you're saying that Glidus and Carmine, you're both saying that I have no hope in influencing anyone on the internet
Oh,
because we are stuck in a world where everyone wants their clickbait money.
I didn't say that. He did. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, just like how what I record and upload to YouTube is a character. It's like
Mm,
not exactly who I am. I'm sure that that's the same case for him. Um, and there's a person behind that, and that person's probably, the nuanced, intelligent person that you see glimpses of in his videos. And maybe that intelligent, nuanced person would want to have a discussion about these things, or maybe he's just not interested in talking with whoever the fuck this Preston Jacobs fella is.
mm.
If you want
True.
influence, you're gonna have to get up there in numbers. Unfortunately, I hate saying that because it sounds very douchey, but it's the reality that we're in. Like I said, like Alt Shift X, he's a nice guy. He talks to anybody apparently who hits him up, big or small, which is a good quality to have. Same over here, same with you on some levels. But some other YouTubers, they just like to stay in their own corner because
Yeah.
they've probably been fucked over by a bunch of other people. So you do have influence though in this community. You do, um, yeah, quite a bit. But
The thing is, in the Ice and Fire community, most of us, most of the content creators are already liberal and are pretty,
Yeah, I don't
like,
think there's too much of a like right wing or like manosphere influence in the Ice and Fire space on YouTube. I don't
yeah,
think that's much of a problem for us.
right. Like
because
even
right,
even when
they're
we,
out
usually
there.
doing.
but even when we think about the people that hate me, the people that hate me have the same political beliefs as me. Like it doesn't. Like,
Or they're even further that way than you are.
yeah, I mean, it's so there's no
Yet,
disagreement in that sense. Yeah.
yet you somehow get called the Kellyanne Conway of the fandom or the Alex Jones of the
I
fandom
thought
by the
Well,
Alex
same
was
because
Alex
people.
Jones.
because that insult resonates within that community. Like if you said it to a right wing community, they'd be like, "What's wrong with Kellyanne Conway?"
Oh hell yeah, he's the Alex Jones. I want to watch
What's
the
wrong with
Alex
Alex
Jones of the
Jones?
community.
But no, this is a good point. Like, yeah, a lot of the right wingers on YouTube, they usually either do reviews where they say the same shtick over and over again, or political stuff. Whereas a lot of left leaning people just do everything, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Hmm. Yeah, interesting message. The Dude brothers have a tendency of misinterpreting popular movies, sort of like how they took American Psycho, took over American Psycho, even though it's a critique of masculinity. Oh, I mean, it's it's like the people that like watch Starship Troopers and don't get that it's like satire, or RoboCop or Commando. All these things are satire. but it's amazing. I mean, certainly, I just remember when those movies, because I'm old, but I remember those movies came out, and like the other kids were like, "Oh my god, there's this movie and it's awesome. It's Commando," and it's like, yeah, I mean, you're 10, so you didn't get it, but like when it's full grown adults that like don't get the satire. Oh man, oh
You get stuff
man.
like Top Gun, which is funded by the Pentagon.
Mm.
And
Wait, really? I did not know that.
Oh yeah, the original
Oh.
Top Gun was made with funding from the Pentagon.
I mean, there is this Hollywood does carry some water for the military, in the sense that the military works as both like a actual implementing force, but it also works as deterrent. And so a lot of times the threat of invasion or the threat of attack is like more powerful than the attack. And people have this idea that the military is super competent and that has all these powers. And so like you put out a movie that makes it look like the American military is fucking top notch and we have these like aces in the sky. Like, yeah, it strikes heart into the fears of the Soviets, you know. Unfortunately, it plays the other way. It makes the American people think that the U.S. government is well funded, and you know. Oh man. Preston can't talk about Top Gun Classified. That secret war that we had over the Indian Ocean back in the 80s.
The infamous U.S. invasion of the Maldives.
This is an interesting thing. Dude bros do have this one critique. Guys claim everything is a jab at masculinity. What's funny, it's not that it's not like I wasn't like in my teens once or my early 20s once, where like being a bro was really important. And then once you have regular sex, like, and like regularly get into relationships and become comfortable with yourself, you know, like, and not insecure. And even that I understand is like the insecurity about sex is completely built by the patriarchy, you know, like people that haven't had sex, like feel like they're men that haven't had sex feel that they are somehow less than other men, you know, and there's this deep insecurity. And I understand that that's put in there by the patriarchy. And even today, like the three of us have made those jokes, have thrown around those jokes. Like, oh, well, you're not having sex. Like, well, you know, as if you should measure your value based on it when you shouldn't. But once you get
instead of social credit, we should have like sex credit, where it's like you keep a tally of how much sex you've had recently, and that's what determines your value as a human.
Oh yeah,
that's a great idea. Yeah,
but it's amazing how much stock like people put in like this empty pursuit of masculinity and like defending masculinity. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, about a month ago, Kyle Rittenhouse was being interviewed by that fascist guy, Kirk, Charlie Kirk.
From Toilet Paper USA.
Yeah, this is the interview where he claimed he was going to Texas A&M, and then Texas A&M was like, no, you're not. Like, but what was weird in the interview, for some reason, he had turned around his hands to rest his hands on his legs like this, in order to, I guess, to try to, like, it's really awkward for me. I don't know why anyone would do that. Like, if I'm sitting in a chair, like, I just let my arms sit at rest. But they were turned around like this. And I guess it's to try to make someone look like larger, or make their arms look larger or something. And I just thought, what an odd specific insecurity, like, about masculinity, like, that you would feel the need to turn your arms around so that your arms will look bigger in an interview. Like, where does that come from? Like, why is there this like massive insecurity about masculinity?
That there was a bear nearby off screen, and they needed to make themselves look bigger to intimidate the bear.
That's right. That is actually. You're right.
That's the
is
only
like,
reason I could think of.
like when you're camping, they do tell you if you go camping in Montana, like the way to get like if a grizzly comes out, you're pretty much screwed. Like the grizzly like is fast, he can outrun you.
It can climb trees.
You can climb trees. You're dead. But they say like the thing to do is to try to make yourself as big as possible and to be as noisy as possible, and that the bear will interpret that as a threat and run away. That for the most part, the bears don't like loud noises and big size. So that like if you actually like run into a bear, you're supposed to be like, "Hey bear, hey bear, hey bear," and hope he like runs away. You know, but yeah, I get why you had that knowledge, Glidus, I don't know. 215 episodes of Family Matters.
Do you know there's a similar strategy you're supposed to do if a kangaroo confronts you, like a big alpha kangaroo, if you're out in the outback and you're like on your own and you're confronted with a big fuck off kangaroo. These things aren't joking around. Like
that, yeah,
a kangaroo could disembowel you.
That sounds like something you just made up, but could also be true.
Kangaroos, they can be terrifying. Have you seen them? They're fucking jacked.
I have. I've seen people I've seen the videos of people fighting kangaroos and getting attacked by kangaroos.
Yeah. So the thing is, if a kangaroo kicks you in the stomach, you're dead. You could die, right? But before kangaroos, like in the wild, exchange kicks, they actually punch each other. And because kangaroos, they're marsupials, they don't have very much upper body strength. They're very weak in the arms. So if you punch it in the face as hard as you can, it'll be like, oh my God, think of how strong his legs are.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, I'm not dealing with this. So that's my tip for you. Punch kangaroos in the face.
So once I was in Gibraltar, and there are these monkeys that live on the Rock of Gibraltar, the only other primates in Europe. And they're addicted to human trash. And so like when you're walking, a lot of them will come and like follow you, thinking that that you might feed them. And I remember one, and they're big motherfuckers. Like, I remember one was like approaching me, and I was like, "Oh no!" And it crouched down. And I was like, "Crap!" And I stepped back, and it jumped towards me. And because I stepped back, its feet only hit my chest. It was trying to jump on my shoulders or something, and it just went into my chest. This monkey, and it just took the wind out of me. I was like, "Oh my God!" And that was like, I don't know, a 50-pound monkey. I just couldn't believe that, like, how much strength it had from that leap and that kick. Now, Zifirkin says, gotta disagree. Women encourage sex insecurity regardless of the patriarchy. They select men, so it makes sense. Women are part of the patriarchy. Like, I don't think you understand that, like the patriarchy is not just what men do. Like, women also act as part of the patriarchy and uphold the patriarchy. Like they need work too. Like, no one's going to disagree that like women also need work. So this is the common misperception that the patriarchy is only implemented by men. I mean, if that were true, like Amy Coney Barrett would be an ally, but she's not. There's plenty of women that help implement the patriarchy. In fact, like, the implication in Game of Thrones is that Catelyn is kind of one of those characters. She's trying to navigate the system as well as she can, but she's also like reinforcing the system. So we this is the thing we have to remember. Like, you can't just be like, well, women do this too. Well, no, because women are part of the problem, men are part of the problem. We're all part of the fucking problem. Now, if you really want to get into like talking women, okay, like my experience in the dating world, yes, there are some women that are super into big muscular dudes. And I call them, and yeah, that might be based on some sort of like ancient prehistoric idea of like who can help me survive or help my baby survive in the in the wild kind of feelings. And they're the most basic. And then you've got the ones that like go a little further and that are like, well, wait a minute, muscles don't really help like my babies survive. It's money in today's society. So there's the women that go for the rich guy. And but of course, like it's not really money, is it? It's the next thing. It's like ability. And if you find that if you're really good at anything, it doesn't matter what, if you're really good at anything, people are going to be attracted to you, whether it's guitar, whether it's basketball, whether it's ice and fire. Okay. Like people are going to be attracted to you if you're talented. And really what's above all of that is intelligence. And when you actually interview women about like women are different. They're diverse. But most women value intelligence the most. And then like ability and confidence and things like that, the Q, ability. And then they value money. And then at the very bottom is fucking muscles. Not that like all things being equal, a woman wouldn't want all of these things. But like it's the smallest smidgen thing. Like I always thought in college when I would pass by the gym about the guys that would spend 2 hours like, working out, building their pecs. Like I understand that it's mostly for men, but they're doing it for other men. But like if you really wanted to attract women, like which do you think is more attractive? Like a guy who works out, bench presses an hour a day, or a guy who like tutors kids? What do you think will get you laid more? Like honestly. A lot depends. Like, at a club, if she's just looking at me, obviously the guy who bench presses. But do you think like somebody wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, like this person like really cares and like is deep and has all this like other aspects to them? That's so much more attractive than pecs to a woman. I mean, even like reading books, if he spent 2 hours reading books and knew all this stuff about literature, so much more attractive to women, generally speaking, than bench press.
Yeah, chicks fucking love it when you quote Chaucer.
Well, at least knowing about Chaucer, because they cue intelligence with ability and whatever on this basic level, like protecting babies. Humor is also high. Yes, humor is like another sign of intelligence and ability and things like that. So like like caring about the masculinity shit, like having been through it all, having been through the whole dating like gambit and tried everything and been through everything, let me tell you, as an old man, like focus on intelligence, focus on career and like being successful, focus on being a caring individual and
like crypto.
Nah, bro.
It's
just because you haven't worked on your delts enough. You need thicker delts. That's what the chicks are really looking for these days. Got to work on your delts, bro.
Guarantee, yeah. Like you. It's
no, I know
be
what you're
so
saying,
much more attractive.
It's been really weird in my experience because I've had a lot of positive attention from the fairer sex, you could say, from just on my YouTube channel. People don't know what I look like for the most part. Some people do. But,
Carmine jokes a lot. Yeah.
It's so weird. I think it's just because A, they think I'm successful on YouTube, and B, they think I'm funny, and that's enough to get these they're all hot and sweaty, and they leave very cringy comments on my videos.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that power is attractive to everyone, and humor is attractive to everyone. But it's like focusing on the base masculine shit of like going out and buying a gun and like working out and getting big muscles. That's not going to get you shit. Like that's not going to get you shit. Like if you spend it reading,
that could be a reflection of the women you've been around in your life, because I reckon that that works for a lot of people.
It does, but also like what kind of woman do you want to attract? Like if you're only interested in like some you know.
Okay, a lot of people have told me that it's the accent that. Okay, I see your point.
Yeah, it is.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
have an accent.
you're around a lot of
everyone else
Aussies,
does.
you know. But you're
Yeah.
around a lot of Aussies too, right? You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not like Australia is very much like America in that there's this hyper masculine element that is out there. But in fact, when I think about the two countries in the world that are most obsessed with it, at least when it comes to like creating a visual presentation, I think of America and Australia as being the most obsessed with it. There are other machismo cultures.
Afghanistan and Namibia.
But like Russians are very like machismo,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's like focused on like binge drinking and shit like that. And
Well, that's what we do.
yeah, I mean Americans too, but like you know, Russians are fucking nuts. Conservative pop cultural example, The King's Speech. That film was whitewashed. Churchill and the royal family seeing the rise of Nazism as some sort of existential threat. That's true. I think it's Hitchinson has Christopher Hitchens has a great article, I think, for Vanity Fair where he trashes that movie and calls the entire royal family Nazi sympathizers. But oh man, okay, I've been on here for a good deal of time, 3 hours.
Be on for another 3 hours. Fuck it. Be on for another 3 hours.
Else you guys want to talk about before I get going?
I don't know. I have nothing. Glidus?
You excited for Night of the Cooters?
I've got to watch Westworld today.
Oh, that's right. Came out. Oh, that's right. Your boy was doing the live stream.
Behind. Yeah, he was, but he didn't go for too long.
Oh, really? There was like 4 people on it?
Yeah, you were taking all his viewers. I'm sure there is a huge overlap, actually. Most people who are like heavily involved in one Ice and Fire channel are going to be heavily involved in others, you know.
I mean, it's an HBO subscription. It's, you know, it's a lot of characters, highly complicated.
Oh yeah.
You know, sci-fi fantasy.
They did. It was supposed to be the replacement for Game of Thrones.
What, Westworld?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but because
Really?
they knew the series was coming to an end and they needed something to pick up that slot, basically.
Get an interesting thing. The point is, intelligence without looks equals not attractive.
Again, it depends on.
It kind of
who you're
depends.
trying to
I mean,
attract.
you know, the women that Woody Allen got with were stunning. You know, and there's nothing attractive about that dude.
And also his stepdaughter.
Yeah. But I mean, he got Diane Keaton and Sissy Spacek and not Sissy Spacek, maybe Mia Farrow and
Mia Farrow, who also was she married to Frank Sinatra?
I think she was banging Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And so Ronan Farrow doesn't know who his dad is.
No, that was they. So she alleged, like, after Frank died, that they were banging until the day he died, and then his family was like, "You are full of shit, woman." I'm pretty sure that what Mia Farrow said there can be discounted. I'm pretty sure Ronan Farrow is not Frank Sinatra's son.
So you're saying he's Woody Allen's son?
I don't see. Because Mia Farrow
I think someone put a Ronan Farrow. I think someone put a picture of Ronan Farrow and young Frank Sinatra next to each other, and they look very similar. So
yeah,
okay,
but
he is Woody Allen's. He is Woody Allen's son.
It's one of the great mysteries we'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the pictures, like he's definitely Woody Allen's
like
son. He's got that like
his success and intelligence is what landed him those smoking hot women, and not his impeccable looks.
Right. Yeah. In fact, I think he once said that there's no greater aphrodisiac than power. But yeah.
Mm.
Which is, I mean, and George R. R. Martin kind of brings up this point, and when it's reversed, like Brienne is like this ugly woman, and she has no agency, but an ugly man can still get laid in the patriarchal world. I guess these incels tend to think that it's their looks that hold them back. But I've seen a few documentaries on these
Try
incels.
being an ugly woman.
Well, that's the thing, is like getting laid is mostly about having low standards and high spirits. Like anybody can really do it if you keep those two things in mind. But like or unless you're fucking crazy. Like who was that incel that shot up the people in California? And he was a fairly nice looking guy, but I think he was
Elliot
just,
Rodger?
yeah, I think he was just nuts, and people could like smell it.
Yeah, like he wasn't terrible looking, I don't think, from memory. Not that I look at photos of incel shooters
and like judge
too
smash
often.
or pass on them, which mass shooters are smash or pass? Oh fuck.
That is a video.
God damn it.
That's a video.
I'm on it.
Oh man.
Well,
Hey,
on
would you
that one
smash
topic,
OSHA?
which one, book or show?
Show.
I'll give that to Preston
What's that?
Would you smash
Uh,
OSHA?
from the
Who?
show.
OSHA?
Yeah.
He's looking her up. He forgot, huh?
Oh, OSHA, definitely. I thought for a minute
Okay.
I was like Asha. I mean Yara.
Oh, there's no right. Wait, you
Yeah.
had to think about Yara? That was
Well-
the one that gave you pause?
Yeah, no, I find OSHA much more attractive than Yara.
Interesting. Okay, I've got a
Yeah,
lot
right?
of shit for passing on her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then again, I got a lot of shit for passing on Tywin, so
I'm just, I mean, and when I'm portraying
You
this,
don't
I'm
wanna
talking
fuck
about,
old
I'm
man.
talking about single horny, because obviously, like, everyone's a pass for me because I'm married, but like, but like, as a single guy, like, what would I've really like, and that I met at a party, how would I have like, acted, and you know what, Glidus, you're probably thinking like first season OSHA, which is very different from like second season or like later seasons of OSHA. You know,
I was mainly, that is my area of expertise is season 1.
yeah, because I mean, she's real. First of all, in real life, she's a model, and then like,
gorgeous, yeah.
and
Obviously.
then the later
I wasn't
seasons,
talking about the actors. I was
yeah,
talking about the
you're
characters.
right.
Yeah.
First, like, okay, obviously, if I met first season OSHA, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, go take a shower. But I don't know. Later on, final season OSHA, she's quite beautiful. But yeah. So Jasper has a final statement. Preston, I know you hate me, but I don't want to say that I enjoy you, Red, and Glidus. I am pleasantly surprised that you did talk to me on the topic. So at least thank you for that. Have a good night. I don't think there's hate here. It's just that you're wrong, and you need to like rethink your thoughts on things. And I think there's hope for you. Like you're willing to engage stuff. I think you're coming out with some like crazy from left field kind of ideas. But I think you just you really need to talk to women who have had abortions. Talk to them. Listen to their stories. Like the big thing. I mean, I've always been pro-choice, but like, I could never imagine going back on that. Having now like friends who have had abortions, like, and I've talked to them about like their lives and where they were, and like, ever like. I mean, it's like me suddenly like I've got gay friends who are married. Like, do you think I'd ever go back on like the idea of same-sex marriage? Like, and betray like all of these friends that I have in the world and like not want happiness for them. So what I recommend is that you find people and talk to them. Talk to the, see, the thing is when I run into forced birthers and I listen to their trauma and like what they believe and why it's an important issue to them, it just doesn't make me like want to be part of their cause. Like they have no trauma. They believe a bunch of wrong facts. They believe in religious nonsense. And then when I talk to women who worry about these issues, whose lives are actually affected, it's like, oh my God, like how can I possibly take random zealot with their abstract religious beliefs versus like person whose life like actually is affected by this stuff. So what I would suggest, Jasper, to talk to someone who's had an abortion. Talk to them about their life. Chat with them. You sound like you were angry interacting with them. That's why you hate him. Well, what I'm angry at are the arguments and the fact that like the world can poison a mind like that. It's not that like Jasper, like, I'm sure he doesn't want to do harm in the world. I'm sure he wants the world to be a better place. I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like, when the world has fed you misinformation to poison your brain, it's hard, you know? Like, and let's say like any of these issues, like once when you meet these people that are like anti same-sex marriage, when they actually meet gay people for the first time, they're like bowled over. They're like, oh my gosh, you're so nice. And at first they have the well, you're one of the good ones kind of situations. But eventually they come around once they meet people that are like that. Most people that have abortions don't want to talk or chat about it. And that is a problem. Obviously women need to talk more about it. We need to normalize it. It needs to be more media. Women need to speak up. But I'm happy and thankful that the women in my life like shared with me the information that like, oh yeah, no, I had an abortion. But I mean, that's where you're really like telling people that you want to force them into a pregnancy that they don't want. Like you don't fucking care. You don't care. Your abstract belief about what a life is more important than their life, like their existence. That's a weird thing. Like look, Carmine, Red Team, and I, Carmine, Glidus, and I, we've got some strong beliefs about ice and fire, okay? But at any point would I put this stupid fucking book, like this abstract thought, above like the lives of real people, like and like, them living a happy existence? I'd never do that. That's stupid. Yeah, this is like fun.
No, we would never do that.
This is fun, abstract stuff. We get into heated arguments and stuff, but that doesn't matter because what matters are real people. Real people.
Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself, Preston. I'm out for blood.
Yeah. So Miffy Toki is willing to talk. Thank you, Miffy Toki. You have a lot of courage, and I admire you. And that's the thing is like when you really know women in sexual relationships who have lives, who are who are in complicated relationships with people, which it's the world is very difficult. The world's very messy, and it's amazing. It's amazing that someone from thousands of miles away can think that they know what's best based on some sort of odd rationalization that they came up with. Like, you know, telling that like, you know, a 16-year-old who was raped that like, well, you can't because I've logically thought that like your conceived egg has different DNA. It's like my life is
You
ruined.
considered this.
Yeah. Instead of this, you have to have your rape baby or your incest baby. It's you know, or I believe that like you should have thought more when you were 16 and hot and heavy and some kid stuck it in you, you know, like I know so much, like being in the throes of sex, like once you're in the throes of sex, your mind is completely different. Like just next time you're jerking off, try to do simple
Try to
math.
think about the Bible.
Try to think about the Bible. Try to think about long division. Like try to, you know, divide 13 into 271 while jerking off. Okay? And like think about those sorts of things, you know. When you're when you're a 16-year-old girl and like some boy you like wants to stick it in you, like it's like, and you know you're this young insecure like person, like what are we supposed to do? It's or you're in college and your entire life is ahead of you, and you know you had sex one night and a condom didn't work or whatever, or you just didn't use one because you didn't, you know, you were drunk or something. You know, all these other things are forgiven. Like when people are like, oh,
sex has consequences, Preston. Sex has consequences.
Sex has consequences, but you know, we don't want Kyle Rittenhouse, that poor boy's life, to be.
Well, he has so much ahead of him.
He had so much ahead of him, right? Yeah. Or even when people talk about Brett Kavanaugh, like harassing that girl when he was young, and people use the comment, well, you know, being a drunk teenage
that,
kid, like
that swimmer, that athlete at Stanford or whatever, who raped some girl, and there was this
Brock
whole
Turner?
thing about, you know,
Brock Turner, yeah.
He had so much ahead of him. We can't just. It'd be so convenient, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Think about Preston Jacobs when you're jerking off. Go for it. Oh, but this all comes from a real lack of empathy, of like thinking about people's complicated lives and dismissing people's complicated lives. And when I talk to forced birthers, they really do kind of believe that it's just a bunch of lazy women that shouldn't be having sex, and they should be making decisions before they have sex. Because why should women be having sex? You know, why? Oh, sluts, right? Borat says he's jerking off thinking about me right now. So
good work, Borat.
Oh man. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thanks to everybody for listening in, and man, what a day. Did we so little ice and fire talk? That's what was nice. That was the best part.
I feel so somehow that can get more heated though.
Oh yeah. When what you got coming up, Glidus, on your channel?
Are you insinuating that I'll be uploading a video? We don't really do that.
You don't do that? Okay. Sorry.
We don't really do that where I'm from. I recently quit my full-time job so that I can spend more time making shit. So that's my plan. What is this?
This is huge news. From what
Congratulations! I already knew about it, but congratulations. Oh, I keep forgetting about this. I'm so sorry. Preston, you're going to have to forgive me for a minute.
Oh.
I'm going to embarrass the shit out of you, but I'm glad Glidus is here to help me do that. Happy belated birthday! Oh shit! Yay! It was his birthday a while ago. Woo!
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
He turned
He's
27.
finally turned 21. He can come out and drink and stuff.
Oh.
Good job.
Yes, yes. Musical genius, Glidus. I didn't realize you had your piano right there. Like you could have been like adding little
Do you want some
twinkles like Paul Schaefer or whatever sidekick is there at a late night talk show. You know?
I can be like narrating like Randy Newman.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, but
happy late birthday! Hey, how old are you now?
Old.
Oh, by the way, I never told you. So I actually had a birthday gift idea for you last year, which can no longer be done anymore because, well, yeah. So this was last year. I don't know if you remember this. We discussed like cameos, like how Lena Headey had a cameo.
Yeah.
Fucking sucked at it. I don't know if Glidus, I don't know if you know this, but some of the Game of Thrones actors go on cameo and all that.
I had no idea, Carmine. I haven't paid hundreds of dollars to hire them to appear in my videos.
I actually had a cameo all set up from celebrity Gilbert Godfrey last year. And for some reason, it never went through. I paid with PayPal. It never went through. It is. And yeah, no. So where is it? I have it here. Gilbert Godfrey. I even have the script I was going to have him say in his fucking amazing voice. Where is it? It was going to be something like this. Like, hello, I can't do Gilbert Godfrey. Hello, Preston. This is your favorite game of...
too bad.
Instead of Gilbert Godfrey, do Iago from Aladdin.
I can't do either of those. Hello, Preston. This is your favorite Game of Thrones actor, Gilbert Godfrey. Sorry the final season sucked, and the new books aren't out yet, but look on the bright side. If you want to see more dick, you could always look in the mirror, or something stupid like that. And that would have been a nice birthday message.
But believe it or not, a friend of mine actually did get Gilbert Godfrey for a cameo for the birthday call. And
no way.
No. They did. He was and he said like oh what do you want me to say, you know, and he's like, oh, just happy birthday and whatever. And he instead like went on for like 3 minutes on the message and was like, the thing is, these birthdays, they fucking suck. No. And he like went on and on and on for literally like 3 minutes. He like gave it all, even though they only wanted like, hi, I'm Gilbert Godfrey, like happy birthday. So like bless his heart, that guy,
what a legend.
But yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah.
So no, I tried getting it for some reason the PayPal didn't go through. I've noticed this happens. Like I tried ordering some cheesesteaks from Goldbelly from Philly and it didn't go through. Like I've noticed it happens every now and then. So sorry about that. I won't get you Gilbert Godfrey. Instead, I'll get you like Roseanne or something. You know, I got you.
Oh my god!
I got you. Get your favorite Game of Thrones. Maisie Williams isn't on there, so I couldn't do Maisie. But Gilbert was the next best.
I haven't checked it later. They go in and out, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Glidus
I tried to get David Bradley for my every episode ranked video.
Yeah,
because he was on Cameo at the time. It's like $250 though. And he rejected my request.
Oh,
it didn't say why. He just didn't do it. Maybe he just didn't feel like it.
So right now we've got Janice Slint, we've got Lancel, Tristane, Old Bear, Hodor.
Tristane? Who the fuck wants that?
Yeah, John Bradley's still on there.
He's a cutie.
Maisie is now on.
Oh shit.
She's got a really weird picture on where she looks anorexic and odd. Something's odd.
Where's she? I don't see her.
I'll tell her you said that.
Oh no, it says temp unavailable. Never mind. They have her picture and then it says temp unavailable. Live video calls from Randall Tarley.
Oh.
Yeah. So
You know, I still get comments to this day asking me if I actually know Kerry Ingram because I made a joke about her being my friend when I used to cameo from her. Oh my god.
The fact that Toby Osmond, the guy who played Prince of Dorne in the last episode, is on here is
like
hilarious.
2 minutes.
And he's fairly expensive. He's like $300, $250.
No, $30. Is this 30 or 300?
Mine says 900 new Taiwanese. Oh, you're right. 900 new Taiwanese dollars, which is $30. Okay.
Gotcha.
Fair enough.
Anyways, I'm sorry to keep you extra, but no, happy belated birthday. It's, Glidus, do the piano thing, Glidus, do the piano thing. And
It's true. If he does it too well, I get copyright striked.
oh, that's right.
Like the Sydney Olympics.
Oh my god, yeah. I had to edit all, like, I guess what, you edit it out later. I mean, YouTube does it for you, but yeah, the Sydney Olympics thing. I can't believe somebody's sitting there going, I want my 1 cent for those people that are watching the Sydney Olympics. All right, guys. Thanks again, and I will see you guys soon. And that's about it. All right, later.